Dirk's flu game. Dirk was 32 in the middle of the 2011 final and absolutely cooked with a fever. Not cooked as in dropping 35 points, cooked as in body temperature near lava. He had flu-like symptoms and a sinus infection with a reported temperature around 102. Plus, he had already torn a tendon in his finger earlier in the series because why not add more chaos to the recipe? This was Game 4. The Mavericks were down 2-1 against Miami. It was tense. You could see it. Dirk looked pale, draped in towel, barely moving on the bench, and still, somehow, he came out and dropped 21 points and grabbed 11 boards. His shot was way off, just 6 makes out of 19 attempts, but when it mattered, he hit free throws like a machine. 9 out of 10. With 14.4 seconds left, he drove right past Haslam and got that scoop layup to fall, pushing Dallas ahead for good. At one point, Dallas trailed by 9 in the fourth quarter. Then they went on a run and outscored Miami 21-9 to close it. It was rough. LeBron had only 8 points. Wade had 32, but the spotlight was all on Dirk. The win tied the series at 2 games apiece. Eventually, Dallas won it all in 6 games. Dirk grabbed the finals MVP, averaging 26 points and nearly 10 rebounds a game. And sure, people love comparing this to Jordan's flu game, but Dirk had a fever, a torn finger, a towel over his head, and still carried the Mavericks straight to history. Fab Melo's doorframe concussion. This one's straight out of a cartoon, but it happened. Fab Melo, a 7-foot center from Brazil, got drafted by the Boston Celtics in 2012 and spent most of his rookie season with the Maine Red Claws in the Development League. While on a road trip in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Melo hit his head on the top of a hotel room doorway, hard enough to end up with a concussion. Yes, seriously, it wasn't during a game, not during practice, just regular walking. And because he was 7 feet tall, the doorframe didn't exactly accommodate that skyscraper forehead. The hit was strong enough to be diagnosed as a traumatic brain injury. Melo said himself that he couldn't focus for long and had lingering headaches. Boston had to recall him to the main roster, not because they needed a center, but because NBA rules said only NBA roster players could get treated by team doctors. So they brought him back to get checked and treated properly. He showed up at Celtics games, sat on the bench, but didn't suit up, strictly under concussion protocol. Coach Doc Rivers chimed in, calling it a Fab being Fab moment, which became the unofficial tagline of this very strange situation. Sports outlets all over the place covered it, from CBS to Slam, and it became this odd little footnote in NBA history. 7-footer, hotel room, door frame, concussion. He missed at least one game or practice while recovering, but exact numbers were never confirmed. It wasn't the most glamorous reason to get recalled to the NBA, but it did happen, and it stuck. Because honestly, how could it not? Joel Embiid discovered at camp. Back in 2011, Luc Mbah a Moute was running a basketball camp in Yaoundé, Cameroon, doing what he always did, trying to help kids find a path out through the game. That's when Joel Embiid, a 17-year-old who had only been playing basketball for 6 months, showed up. Barely. He almost skipped the first day to stay home playing video games. Embiid had grown up playing soccer and volleyball. Basketball wasn't even the plan. He wanted to play volleyball in Europe, but once he picked up hoops, he tried mimicking moves he saw from Hakeem. Somehow, that worked. Mbah a Moute saw him at camp and immediately thought there was something there. Joel caught a wild pass, took a few dribbles, spun, and finished. That was all it took. Luke didn't just say good job and leave it at that. He helped get Embiid into the Basketball Without Borders camp in South Africa, then got him over to the United States at just 16 years old. First stop was Montverde Academy. Then he moved to the Rock School in Florida. Mbah a Moute stayed in touch, mentored him, and helped him figure out how to navigate basketball life in the U.S. From there, Embiid committed to Kansas, got drafted 3rd overall in 2014, and eventually became an MVP and one of the most dominant centers in the league. His rise from Cameroon to the NBA spotlight all started with that one camp, that one moment, and one 7-footer who decided to give back. That single connection changed the entire course of Embiid's life and gave Cameroon a blueprint for basketball success. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Thunder MVP streak. Since becoming the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2008, the franchise has always had at least one player on the roster who either already won an MVP or eventually won one during their time with the team. That's not a rumor. That's an actual verified streak that's gone on for nearly 2 decades now. It started with Kevin Durant. He was drafted before the move, but by the time the team relocated, he was the guy. Durant won the Most Valuable Player award in the 2013-14 season, averaging ridiculous numbers while carrying Oklahoma City deep into the playoffs. Russell Westbrook kept it rolling. He stayed on the roster after Durant left and took home his own MVP award for the 2016-17 season. That was the year he averaged a triple-double and turned pure chaos into nightly box score magic. Then came Shea. The Thunder got him in 2019, and while people expected development, they didn't expect MVP talk, but that's what happened. Shea turned into a full-blown superstar and took home the MVP in the 2024-25 season. That officially made him the third Thunder player to win the award while wearing that jersey. James Harden was on the roster early too, part of that young core with Durant and Westbrook, but he won his MVP later with another team. Still, the Thunder had 3 MVPs on the same roster at one point, just not at the same time in their primes. Since 2008, this franchise has quietly kept an MVP pipeline going. Not many teams can say that. Oklahoma City, they've done it without skipping a beat. Julius Randle's thumbs down. On January 6th, 2022, the Knicks were getting smacked around at Madison Square Garden. They were down by 25 to Boston, and the home crowd let them hear it. The boos were loud, sharp, and absolutely impossible to ignore. It's New York. Subtlety isn't their style, but the Knicks clawed back. Midway through the fourth, Randle hit a layup and then turned to the crowd and gave them a thumbs down. Not exactly a love letter. Reporters asked what it meant after the game, and Randle didn't dodge it. He said it was to tell the fans to shut the f up. That was the actual quote. He wasn't vague about it either. He explained that the gesture was a direct response to the boos earlier in the game. The frustration was real, and instead of internalizing it, he decided to fire back with an actual gesture and a very clear message. Some fans and media didn't take it well. The whole thing drew comparisons to a similar incident in baseball when Javier Baez pulled the same thumbs down move. Randle even took to Instagram after the game to put out a post that seemed aimed at clearing things up, or at least showing that he was thinking about it. But it didn't exactly smooth things over. In a later home game, Randle got booed again. The crowd didn't forget, and it became a running thing throughout the season. He wasn't the first Knicks player to butt heads with the crowd, and he probably won't be the last, but that night, the tension between Randle and the Garden crowd was center stage. Literally, Andy Panko's 33-second career. Technically, Andy Panko played 1 minute in the NBA. That's what the official box score says, but if you dig just a little deeper, the truth is funnier. It was more like 33 seconds. That's right, the NBA rounds up to the nearest minute, but by some second-by-second breakdowns, he barely got half of one. No points, no rebounds, no assists, no anything. Just one appearance and then poof, he suited up for the Atlanta Hawks during the 2001 season, got his chance, stepped onto an NBA court, and blinked. That was it, the basketball equivalent of walking into the room, realizing what you forgot why you're there, and leaving. But here's the twist. That wasn't the end of his basketball career, not even close. Panko went on to have one of the longest and most successful post-NBA careers you'll ever hear about. 20 years of professional basketball. He played everywhere. He crushed it in the Continental Basketball Association. He became an MVP overseas. In Spain's top league, he didn't just blend in. He dominated. 3-time scoring champ, league MVP. He even won a CBA title. So while the NBA moment was microscopic, the career wasn't. It just happened mostly outside the bubble of highlight, reels, and studio panel. You won't find a statue or banner in an NBA arena with his name on it, but in Europe, Panko built a whole legacy. 33 seconds in the NBA, 2 decades everywhere else. The stat sheet may look empty, but the resume, not even close. Toronto Beavers almost happened. When the NBA awarded an expansion team to Toronto in 1993, the hunt for a name got wild fast. The franchise ran a nationwide naming contest and collected over 2,000 submissions. From there, they trimmed it down to 10 finalists, and somehow, Beavers made the cut. Yes, Beavers. The final name list had a full zoo. Beavers, Bobcats, Dragons, Grizzlies, Hogs, Raptors, Scorpions, T-Rex, Tarantulas, and Terriers. Basically everything from cute pets to prehistoric killers. And in the middle of all that chaos, Toronto Beavers sat there, 1 vote away from becoming basketball reality. This wasn't just a casual mention either. Beavers were a legitimate finalist. If a few decisions had gone another way, fans today might be rocking jerseys with a cartoon rodent instead of a snarling dinosaur. The entire vibe of the franchise could have been tail slapping instead of claw scratching. But in May 1994, the team went with Raptor. Why? Jurassic Park. That movie had just taken over pop culture, and the word Raptor was suddenly the coolest thing a kid could shout while dunking on a 5-foot hoop in their driveway. The branding followed suit: purple, red, silver, black, and the franchise leaned hard into dinosaur energy. And just like that, the Beavers' dream died. No maple tail mascot, no chewable foam logs in the arena, no awkward logo redesigns. Toronto dodged what would have been a very different basketball identity. The Raptors won the naming war, but the Beavers, they're forever lurking in the shadows of what could have been a very polite, dam-building, alternate universe. Heisman winner in the NBA, Charlie Ward did something no one else has ever done. He won the Heisman Trophy and went on to play in the NBA. Out of every Heisman winner since 1935, he's the only one who ended up with a pro basketball career. That's not an exaggeration, that's a fact. In 1993, Ward was Florida State's quarterback and led them to their first National Football Championship. He threw for over 3,000 yards, picked up every major quarterback award, and won the Heisman with ease. But instead of heading to the NFL, he made it clear if he wasn't drafted in the first round, he wasn't playing football, and nobody took the risk. He went undrafted. Later that same year, Ward entered the NBA draft. The New York Knicks took him 26th overall, and just like that, he was in the league. He played point guard 11 seasons, most of that time with the Knicks, plus short runs with the Spurs and Rockets. He wasn't a flash and sizzle guy, but he was a steady defender, floor leader, and major piece of the Knicks teams that made multiple playoff runs, including their trip to the 1999 finals. Heisman winners playing other sports isn't unheard of. Bo Jackson did it, so did Vic Janowicz, but basketball, only Ward. His crossover from college football legend to NBA veteran stands completely alone. And now, as of 2025, he's back in the game, coaching men's basketball at Florida A and M. From the Heisman stage to the hardwood, no one else has followed that path. Charlie Ward carved it himself. Chubby Cox was real. Yes, that name actually belonged to a professional basketball player. His full name was John Arthur Chubby Cox III, and he was born on December 29, 1955, in Philadelphia. He stood 6 feet 2 and played shooting guard, first getting noticed at Roxborough High before heading to college ball. He played 2 seasons at Villanova, then transferred to the University of San Francisco. There, he made it into the school's top 10 for single-season assists, so the man could pass, even if people mostly remember the name. Cox was drafted by the Chicago Bulls in the 8th round of the 1978 NBA draft, 159th overall, but he didn't make the roster. Instead, he tore it up in the Continental Basketball Association, playing for teams like the Wilkes-Barre Barons and the Pennsylvania Barons. He averaged nearly 22 points per game and once dropped 50 in a single night against the Lancaster Red Roses in December 1979. His NBA shot finally came in the 1982-83 season when the Washington Bullets signed him to a 10-day contract. He appeared in 7 games and scored 29 total points. That was the extent of his official NBA career. After that, he played overseas in Venezuela for a team called Beverly Hills. But basketball didn't end there for his family. His sister married Joe Jelly Bean Bryant, making Chubby Cox the uncle of Kobe Bryant. His own son, John Cox IV, also played professionally and represented Venezuela internationally. In 2019, Chubby Cox was inducted into the University of San Francisco Hall of Fame. His name might make people laugh, but his resume, that's legit. The Silner Brothers sweetheart deal. In 1976, the ABA merged with the NBA, but not every team got a ticket to the big league. 4 teams made the jump: the Denver Nuggets, Indiana Pacers, San Antonio Spurs, and New York Nets. Left out, the Spirits of St. Louis. But their owners, Ozzie and Daniel Silner, didn't walk away quietly. Instead of just taking a payout, they negotiated one of the most ridiculous deals in sports history. They agreed to fold the Spirits in exchange for $2.2 million up front and something much more valuable, a slice of the NBA's future TV money. Here's what they got: 1/7 of the national television revenue earned by each of the 4 ABA teams that joined the NBA. And they didn't set an end date. The deal said those payments would last in perpetuity. That means forever. At the time, it sounded minor. NBA TV deals weren't huge yet. In the 1980-81 season, they made around $500,000. But the league exploded. The TV money soared, and so did the Silner's checks. Over the years, they pulled in hundreds of millions. By 2014, they'd made over $300 million from a team that never played an NBA game. Eventually, the NBA got tired of writing checks. That year, the league and the ABA remnants paid the Sooners a $500 million lump sum to wrap it up. All of it happened because two businessmen out-negotiated the entire league and wrote their own ending to a franchise that didn't even survive the merger. Harlem Globetrotters before the tricks. Long before they were spinning balls on their fingers and clowning on fake referees, the Harlem Globetrotters were a serious basketball team. They were founded in 1926 as the Savoy Big Five in Chicago and barnstormed around the Midwest playing real games. The name Harlem was added in 1930 to signal their identity as a black team, even though they weren't based there. Before the NBA even existed, the Globetrotters played high-level games against the best teams in the country, and in 1940, they won the World Professional Basketball Tournament, a legit national title, beating top pro squads in the process. Then came the Lakers games. In February 1948, the Globetrotters beat the Minneapolis Lakers 61-59 in front of a packed crowd in Chicago. The Lakers had George McCain, the most dominant big man of that era. A year later, the Globetrotters beat them again. These weren't exhibitions. These were competitive games, and the Globetrotters were proving they could take down the best all-white teams in the country. At that time, the NBA didn't allow black players, so elite black talent went to the Globetrotters. Guys like Nat Clifton, Chuck Cooper, and Earl Lloyd started there before helping integrate the NBA in the early 50s. Even Wilt Chamberlain played for them before dominating the league. But as the NBA grew and integration expanded, the Globetrotters pivoted. They leaned into entertainment, tricks, comedy, dunks, and crowd work. It was a shift, but it was built on a foundation of real basketball dominance. So when you hear the Globetrotters theme music, remember, they weren't always a traveling circus. They were once among the best teams in the world. Lemon Pepper Lou. During the NBA bubble in 2020, Lou Williams left the Orlando setup on an excused absence to attend a family memorial service. That part was totally authorized. What blew everything up was what happened next. A photo surfaced of Lou at Magic City, the Atlanta strip club famous for two things, the atmosphere and the wings. That picture came from rapper Jack Harlow, who posted a shot of the two together, quickly deleted it, but not before the internet screenshotted the whole thing. Suddenly, the idea of an NBA player leaving the bubble and getting lemon pepper wings at a club during a pandemic turned into headline fuel. And just like that, Lemon Pepper Lou was born. The NBA didn't suspend him. There were no fines handed down. But because players who left the bubble had to quarantine upon return, the league required Lou to do a 10-day quarantine. That meant he missed games. But it was for health protocol, not punishment for chicken. Lou talked about it later, saying the narrative got twisted. He said there was no rule break, no harm, and no foul, just a now infamous food run. And honestly, Magic City didn't mind. They even named a flavor after him, lemon pepper wings with Lou's name on them. Officially, he trademarked the nickname and turned it into part of his brand. So while some players got remembered for game winners or stats in the bubble, Lou got remembered for a plate of wings and managed to flip a viral moment into personal branding gold. The wings were real, the jokes were loud, but the suspension? That never happened. Caitlin Clark's Big Three offer. Before Caitlin Clark even played a single WNBA game, there were reports that the Big Three League offered her a $15 million contract just to play around 10 games. That's about $1.5 million per game. Not endorsements, not career-long earnings, just 10 games of 3-on-3. The offer came from the Big Three, the league co-founded by Ice Cube, and it made headlines fast. According to people tied to the league, the number started smaller, then grew to that jaw-dropping $15 million. It was discussed in interviews, podcasts, and press, all very public. Now here's the catch. The Big Three season overlaps with the WNBA schedule. So even if Clark wanted to play both, it would have meant missing WNBA games. That wasn't a side hustle. It was a full-on alternative path. She had just signed her WNBA rookie deal with the Indiana Fever, and those contracts don't even come close to 7-figure. But she also had endorsements lined up, big names, real money, giving her more long-term security. In the end, Clark didn't take the Big Three deal. She chose the WNBA route. No official confirmation came from her camp about the exact offer details, but the chatter from Big Three insiders was loud enough to raise eyebrows across sports media. The story wasn't just about one player or one offer. It became a moment showing how valuable Clark had become before stepping on a pro court. $15 million for 10 games? That's a headline, and Clark's decision to pass on it turned it into something even bigger. Landry Shamet's G League loophole. Ahead of the 2024-25 season, Landry Shamet signed a non-guaranteed Exhibit 9 deal with the New York Knicks. The kind of contract that basically says, you're here for camp, but don't unpack. Then came the preseason, and with it, a dislocated shoulder. The Knicks waived him on October 19th. Because it was an Exhibit 9, they were only on the hook for a tiny payout, around $15,000. That's couch cushion money in NBA terms. Then came the sneaky part. Not illegal, not shady, just a perfectly legal system maneuver. A week later, on October 26th, Shamet was picked second overall in the G League draft by the Westchester Knicks, New York's affiliate. So the Knicks waived him and then sort of drafted him again. Not into the NBA, just into their G League pipeline. That allowed them to keep control of his playing rights while he rehabbed and got back into game shape. It wasn't a backdoor roster trick, but it did look like a mini loophole. The Exhibit 9 deal made it easy to cut him with minimal cost. Then the G League draft let them hold on to him without burning a roster spot or cap space. Shamet rehabbed, averaged nearly 11 points per game in Westchester, and on December 23rd, the Knicks brought him back with a new NBA contract, clean, legal, and kind of brilliant. This wasn't about tricking the system, it was just knowing how to use every piece of it. Exhibit 9 out, G League, draft in, rehab, return, roster spot earned. The Knicks turned a preseason injury into a perfectly executed organizational reset. Michael Cooper's off-the-bench Defensive Player of the Year. In the 1986-87 season, Michael Cooper won the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award, and he did it as a reserve. Not a full-time starter, not logging 40 minutes a night, but coming off the bench for the Showtime Laker. Cooper was the defensive engine of a team built on speed, flash, and point. While Magic and Kareem were lighting up the scoreboard, Cooper was locking down the other team's best perimeter threat every single night. He started only a handful of games that season, but was still trusted to guard the toughest matchups when it mattered most. Defensive Player of the Year awards almost always go to starters. Big men, rim protectors, guys playing 35-plus minutes. Cooper broke that mold. He was a sixth man who came in, caused chaos, and left his fingerprints all over the game without needing to score. The voters noticed. That season, the Lakers were a juggernaut, and Cooper's defense was a big reason why. He didn't put up monster scoring numbers, but his impact was obvious, swarming ball handlers, picking pockets, and hounding shooters into terrible nights. He finished his career with 8 all-defensive team nods, but this one award stood out. A defensive bench player winning the top individual defensive honor in a league full of starters. That's rare air. Cooper turned elite defense into a specialty and won the league's biggest defensive award doing it, all while coming off the bench. That's not just unusual, that's legendary. Carl Lewis, drafted by the Bulls. In the 1984 NBA draft, the same one that gave the world Michael Jordan, Hakeem, Charles Barkley, and John Stockton, the Chicago Bulls used their 10th round pick, 208th overall, on Carl Lewis. Yes, the Olympic track and field legend. Lewis had zero basketball experience. He didn't play in high school. He didn't play in college. He wasn't even pretending to be a two-sport athlete. He was busy becoming one of the greatest sprinters and long jumpers of all time, eventually winning 9 Olympic gold medals. And yet, the Bulls called his name on draft night. It wasn't a prank, but it was definitely a long shot. NBA teams sometimes take flyers on raw athletes with freakish physical ability. Think of it as a why not pick. The Bulls reportedly saw Lewis's explosiveness, speed, and vertical, and figured it couldn't hurt to roll the dice that late in the draft. Low risk, zero reward. But hey, it's in the books. Lewis never joined the league. He never attended a tryout, never played a minute of pro basketball, and went on to dominate track instead. Still, the selection lives on as one of the weirdest, most head-scratching picks in NBA history. And it happened in the same draft where the Bulls picked Jordan. So yes, they drafted the greatest basketball player ever, and also a guy who never played the sport. Same night, same team, 2 very different legacies. Wilt Chamberlain's 160-game scoring stretch. Wilt Chamberlain didn't just dominate. He shattered what anyone thought was possible on a basketball court. From 1961 to 1964, his scoring numbers were ridiculous. Not MVP season, ridiculous. Change the rules, ridiculous. In the 1961 to 62 season, Wilt averaged 50.4 points per game. That's the official single-season record, and it still stands untouched. The following year, he dropped off to a totally normal 44.8 points per game. Put those two together, that's nearly 100 games of cartoon-level scoring. Now here's where it gets even more absurd. If you look at his numbers over a stretch of 160 consecutive games across those years, yes, someone did the math. Wilt averaged 47.6 points per game over that span. That number's not in the official NBA record books because the league doesn't track scoring averages across combined seasons. But the numbers are real. The stretch happened. This isn't cherry-picking a hot month. It's not a playoff streak. It's a season and a half of elite-level dominance, and no one else has come close. Not Jordan, not Kobe, not LeBron, nobody. The NBA only officially recognizes single-season averages, so Wilt's 50.4 is what goes in the books. But that 47.6 number, that's the kind of stat you mention when people ask why Wilt gets his own section in basketball history. So no, it's not an official stat, but it's very real, and it's one of the wildest stretches of scoring basketball has ever seen. Chris Humphries, swimming phenom. Before Chris Humphries ever touched an NBA court, he was dominating a very different kind of competition. In the pool, at just 10 years old, he was one of the best age group swimmers in the country, and we're not talking locally. This was national level dominance. In 1995, Humphries posted the fastest times in the country in 6 different events for the 10 and under division. We're talking the 50 freestyle, 100 freestyle, butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and even the 200 individual medley. Basically, every stroke you could throw at him, he crushed it. And here's the kicker. He wasn't just topping random names. His times beat out future Olympic legends like Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte. That's not myth, it's documented. In several of those events, Humphries had faster official times than Phelps in head-to-head age group comparisons. So yes, for a moment in the mid-90s, Chris Humphries was faster than the most decorated swimmer in Olympic history. He placed in the top 10 in every single race he entered that year, 9 in total, and even set national records in multiple freestyle events. Some of those records stood for nearly 18 years. In his home state of Minnesota, he held a dozen age bracket records. But as he grew older, he switched lanes, literally. He left swimming behind to focus on basketball. Eventually, that path led him to the NBA, where he had a solid career across multiple teams. Still, the fact remains, there was a time when Chris Humphries was the fastest swimmer in the pool, even faster than Phelps. Before basketball, before reality TV headlines, he was a record-breaking aquatic prodigy. Jamal Murray's Knicks pick. In the 2016 NBA draft, the Denver Nuggets selected Jamal Murray with the 7th overall pick. But that pick wasn't originally theirs. It belonged to the New York Knicks. The reason Denver got that pick? The Carmelo Anthony trade. Back in 2011, when the Knicks traded for Carmelo, one of the assets they sent to Denver was the right to swap first-round picks in 2016. That clause ended up paying off big for the Nuggets. 5 years later, when the swap kicked in, the Knicks had the 7th pick. Denver used that exact slot to take Murray, a franchise-altering move. Without that swap clause, Denver wouldn't have had access to that draft position. The difference may seem small on paper, but in reality, it gave the Nuggets a shot at a player who became a core piece of their championship roster. Murray came out of Kentucky as a high-scoring combo guard and evolved into one of the best postseason performers in the league. He became a key piece next to Nikola Jokic and a vital part of Denver's rise to the top. So yes, the pick used to draft Jamal Murray traces directly back to New York. A pick that came from the Carmelo Anthony trade, a trade that gave Denver more than short-term value. It gave them a future star. While the Knicks chased immediate results, Denver quietly banked on long-term payoff and hit the jackpot, plus 32 wins. The Boston Celtics pulled off a jaw-dropping turnaround in the 1979-80 season, stacking 32 more wins than they had the year before. Yeah, they went from 29 wins to 61. That kind of leap doesn't just happen. It exploded. And the biggest reason? A rookie. But not just any rookie. Larry Bird finally suited up after being drafted the year before, and the dude wasted zero time making noise. He threw down over 21 points, snagged more than 10 rebounds, and tossed out 4 assists a night. Oh, and he snagged Rookie of the Year like it was nothing. His presence alone dragged that team from the bottom straight to the top of their division. But it wasn't just Bird lighting up the parquet. The Celtics also brought in a new head coach, Bill Fitch, who actually knew what he was doing. He came in, flipped the system, and that squad suddenly looked like they belonged in June. Red Auerbach even decided Bob McAdoo wasn't part of the plan, so he shipped him out and brought in ML Carr. That move mattered. Carr brought grit, and his defense added a whole new edge. They didn't stop there. Gerald Henderson showed up from the CBA, and Cedric Maxwell and Chris Ford kept the fire going. That season ended with them sitting at the top of the Atlantic Division and pushing all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals. Even though they fell short, the Celtics weren't just better. They were back. That season didn't just turn heads. It built the launchpad for what came next. The mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays. Game 1 of the 1997 NBA Finals had everything: pressure, trash talk, and a finish that still gets replayed. With just over 9 seconds left, the score was locked at 82 apiece between the Chicago Bulls and the Utah Jazz. Karl Malone, the league MVP that season, stepped to the free throw line with the chance to change everything. But before he even got the ball, Scottie Pippen slid in with a one-liner that went straight for the mental game. He leaned in and told Malone, "The mailman doesn't deliver on Sundays." Cold, just pure psychological warfare, wrapped in a joke. It was Sunday after all, and Malone's nickname had always been the mailman because he delivered buckets like clockwork. Well, not this time. Malone, who usually sank nearly 8 out of every 10 from the line, bricked both shots. And then, of course, Michael Jordan did what Michael Jordan did, drained a 20-foot jumper at the buzzer to seal an 84-82 win for Chicago. Just brutal. Pippen's jab didn't just echo in that moment. It became one of the most unforgettable lines in finals history. He later said it was just friendly trash talk, nothing personal, but it sure landed like a punch. The line's been quoted for decades and probably ruined a few family barbecues in Utah. The missed free throws, the perfect timing of Pippen's comment, and Jordan's finish. It all stacked into a classic finals memory. No plays needed, just one MVP, one savage line, and one ice-cold finish. The Bulls didn't just win the game, they took the narrative too. 266 teammates. Jeff Green's had more teammates than most players have practice jerseys. Over an 18-season career, he's played for 12 different franchises, stacking up a jaw-dropping 266 different teammates across the regular season and playoff. That's not just bouncing around. That's full-on basketball nomad status. And we're not talking about a list filled with no name. He shared locker rooms with some of the biggest names in the league's history. Kevin Durant, yep, back in the Seattle and early Oklahoma City days. Russell Westbrook, also there, tearing it up with Green during those early Thunder years. James Harden, of course, they connected again during Jeff's time in Houston. But it goes even deeper. Shaq was briefly his teammate. Yes, that Shaq. Green's career has intersected with legends from different eras, whether they were in their prime or winding things down. And being around those kinds of players means you're often on serious rosters, which creates even more turnover. Star-studded teams are constantly adjusting, and Green was always right in the mix. That's the wild part. His role wasn't always huge, but he kept finding his way onto meaningful teams, and that's how the number kept climbing. Add in playoff appearances, trades, new contracts, short stints, and suddenly the guy's played with over 265 other professionals. 8 All-Stars on one roster. The 2021 to 2022 Lakers didn't just load up on talent, they stacked their roster with 8 former or current NBA All-Stars. That's 8 players, all on one roster, who'd been selected for the league's biggest mid-season honor at some point in their careers. It started with LeBron James, who's got more All-Star appearances than some teams have playoff wins. Anthony Davis was right there too, another multiple-time All-Star anchoring the front court. Then there was Russell Westbrook, brought in with his explosive resume and MVP past. Add Carmelo Anthony, whose All-Star peak made him one of the league's most dangerous scorers for years. Dwight Howard had racked up multiple All-Star nods back when he was dominating the paint. DeAndre Jordan had his moment in the spotlight with the Clippers, and Isaiah Thomas had that unforgettable All-Star stretch with Boston. Rounding it out was Rajon Rondo, who'd already been to multiple All-Star games and brought championship-level experience. Not all of them were in peak form by that season, but they all wore the purple and gold during that year. Some came through trades, others through mid-season signing. Regardless of timing, they were all on the same roster, which makes this one of the most all-star loaded teams in league history. The significance? You just don't see that level of decorated talent sitting in one locker room very often. Roster limits usually make it impossible, but the Lakers pulled it off, at least on paper. 8 All-Star, 1 team, 1 season. That's a record worth remembering. 7 teams in one trade. On July 6th, 2025, the NBA approved a trade that rewrote the record books. 7 teams, all tied together in a single, massive deal. The Rockets, Suns, Hawks, Nets, Warriors, Timberwolves, and Lakers were all involved. And the headliner? Kevin Durant, who was sent from Phoenix to Houston. This deal moved more than just Durant. Houston also got Clint Capella in a sign and trade from Atlanta. Phoenix landed Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 draft pick, which turned into Kaman Maluak, plus second rounders and young pieces like Rasheer Fleming and Kobe Brea. Atlanta got David Roddy and a second round pick swap. The Nets pulled in 2 second-round picks, and the Warriors took home draft rights to Alex Tuhey and Jamal Murray. Minnesota got draft rights to Rocco Zikarsky, 2 future second-rounders, and cash. The Lakers came away with the rights to Adal Thiero and more cash. Every team touched the trade wire, whether it was veterans, draft picks, rookies, or future flexibility. Before this, the record for teams involved in one NBA trade was 6. This broke that cleanly. Beyond the team count, the volume was just wild. Players, rights, picks, extending all the way to 2032, and cash flying in multiple directions. What started as a basic Rocket-Sun swap ballooned into something way bigger. Layers of negotiations pulled in more teams and filled out the structure with depth pieces, cap moves, and future assets. It was complicated, historic, and completely official. 7 franchises moved pieces in a single deal, and the Kevin Durant saga hit another record-setting chapter in league history. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, 31 Hall of Famers in the finals. Over 10 NBA Finals appearances, LeBron James has faced a wild total of 31 Hall of Famers, or future Hall of Famer. That's the claim. And based on who he's gone up against, it's not hard to see how that number adds up. Start with the 2007 final. LeBron ran into a Spurs dynasty with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu, all Hall of Famers. Jump ahead to 2011, and there's Dirk and Jason Kidd with Dallas. Then in 2012, it was Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook with the Thunder. All of them future Hall of Famers, even if they hadn't hit their peak yet. Now look at that stretch from 2015 to 2018. Golden State had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Durant again. Those are 4 massive names, and all 4 will have Hall of Fame plaques eventually. By the time you stack that kind of elite talent across 10 final series, the number gets big fast. What makes this count so interesting is that it includes players already inducted and those clearly on their way. LeBron's finals matchups have been filled with legends from every direction: scorers, defenders, MVPs, and multi-ring winners. Every team he's faced had at least 1 or 2 names that'll live in NBA history books. This record isn't just about longevity. It shows how LeBron's finals runs repeatedly collided with some of the best talent the league had to offer. 31 Hall of Famers is more than a trivia answer. It's a reflection of just how stacked the competition really was. 13 teams. Ish Smith holds the NBA record for playing with the most different franchises in league history. 13. That's not just a suitcase packed once or twice. That's a full-time moving job. Over the span of his career, Smith went from undrafted in 2010 to being a champion in 2023, with a list of stops that reads like a league directory. He started with the Houston Rockets, then went on a tour of the league that included the Memphis Grizzlies, Golden State Warriors, Orlando Magic, Milwaukee Bucks, Phoenix Suns, Oklahoma City Thunder, Philadelphia 76ers, New Orleans Pelicans, Detroit Pistons, Washington Wizards, Charlotte Hornets, and finally, the Denver Nuggets. A few of those he joined more than once, like Philadelphia and Charlotte. But even with the repeats, the total distinct franchises hit 13, and he officially set the record when he suited up for Denver in 2022. That was the 13th team, and as it turned out, the one where he finally won an NBA title. His journey wasn't always about big minutes or headlines, but he was valuable enough that teams kept picking him up. Waivers, trades, short-term deals. However it happened, Smith kept finding his way onto rosters. That kind of career takes adaptability, persistence, and a very understanding real estate agent. 13 teams, 1 career. No one else has done it quite like that. Whether as a backup guard, a steady presence, or a veteran voice, Smith managed to be just what a team needed. 13 different times. And now, he's got a record no one's ever matched. 3 teams together. James Harden and Russell Westbrook have been teammates not once, not twice, but 3 different times, across 3 completely different franchises. First, it all started in Oklahoma City, back when Harden was the 6th man and Westbrook was exploding into stardom. That Thunder squad made serious noise and helped launch both of their careers. Then they linked up again in Houston for the 2019 to 2020 season. This time, they weren't young guns anymore. They were both former MVPs, trying to make a deep playoff push together again, this time in red and white. And just when you thought the duo had split for good, they reunited once more, this time with the Los Angeles Clippers. That made it official. 3 franchises, same duo. But they're not the only ones. Taj Gibson and Derrick Rose also pulled the triple. Their first chapter was in Chicago, where Rose was the youngest MVP ever, and Gibson brought energy off the bench. They later reconnected in Minnesota in 2018, with both guys trying to spark something in a new setting, and they did it again in New York, suiting up for the Knicks in the 2022 season. Sharing 3 franchises isn't common, and doing it as longtime teammates makes it even more rare. For both duos, it shows how certain player bonds just keep coming back. Whether it's front office trust, coaching familiarity, or just natural chemistry, when the fit works, teams keep trying it. Harden and Westbrook, Rose and Gibson, 3 franchises each, same jerseys, different zip codes, 5 first-round picks. In the 2025 NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets pulled off something no franchise had ever done before. They used 5 first-round picks, not traded them, not packaged them. They actually drafted 5 different players in the first round, setting a league record. The picks were number 8, 19, 22, 26, and 27. With those, they went heavy on guards and wings with a little size mixed in. At number 8, they took Igor Demon, a 6'9" international guard out of BYU, known for his vision and feel. At 19, they grabbed Nolan Traoré, another international prospect, this time from France, with plenty of upside and shot creation potential. At 22, it was Drake Powell from North Carolina, an athletic wing with versatility. Then Ben Saraf came off the board at 26, another guard with an international background. And finally, at 27, they selected Danny Wolf from Michigan, a big man with rebounding chops and size in the paint. This kind of draft haul doesn't happen often. Actually, it never happened until now. No team had ever walked away from one first round with 5 selections. It signals a clear rebuild. The Nets aren't trying to patch things up. They're starting fresh, betting on development, chemistry, and time. What makes it even more wild is that they kept all 5 picks. That's rare in a league where first rounders are usually trade chips. Brooklyn went all in on youth, and if even 2 or 3 of these guys pan out, the future gets a lot more interesting. 5 first rounders, 1 draft, 1 team. That's how you make history. 9 Hall of Famers on 1 team. The 1962-63 Boston Celtics didn't just win, they stockpiled legends. That season, the Celtics had 9 players on their roster who would go on to be inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. That's the most Hall of Famers on a single team in league history. At the center of it all was Bill Russell, anchoring the defense and dominating the boards. Bob Cousy, the floor general, was wrapping up his final season, but still directing traffic like few others. Sam Jones and Tom Heinsohn were filling it up as scoring threats, while K.C. Jones locked down the perimeter on defense. Then you had John Havlicek, just a rookie that year, already making waves off the bench. Frank Ramsey and Satch Sanders brought hustle, smarts, and veteran experience. And rounding it out was Clyde Lovellette, a skilled big man who added size and production behind Russell. Every one of those names eventually got their call to the Hall. Some were already stars, others were just beginning to build their legacy. Either way, they all shared the same locker room that season. This wasn't a stacked team in the way we talk about super teams now. It was something deeper, a combination of elite talent, incredible chemistry, and a coaching system that maximized each player's strength. The Celtics dominated the era, and this team shows why. 9 Hall of Famers, 1 roster, 1 unforgettable piece of NBA history. No team before or since has packed that much greatness into a single season. 6 number 1 picks. The Cleveland Cavaliers and Washington Wizards are tied for the most number 1 overall picks in NBA draft history. 6 each. That's the all-time record for any franchise, and the paths they took to get there are very different. Cleveland's picks lean modern. It started in 1971 with Austin Carr, then Brad Daugherty in 1986, who became a multiple-time All-Star. But the real fireworks came in 2003 when they drafted LeBron James. That pick alone transformed the franchise and eventually led to an NBA title in 2016. They weren't done. In 2011, they took Kyrie Irving, who played a huge role in that title run too. Then came 2013's pick, Anthony Bennett, which didn't go as planned, but still counts. And just a year later, they selected Andrew Wiggins number 1, before flipping him in a major trade. Washington's record stretches much further back. Their first top pick came in 1953 with Ray Felix, followed by Frank Selvey in 54. Back then, they were the Baltimore Bullets. In the early 60s, they had 3 more number 1s during their time as the Chicago Packers and Zephyrs. Walt Bellamy and Bill McGill were among them. Fast forward to the 2000s, and they took Kwame Brown in 2001 and John Wall in 2010, both under the Washington Wizards name. Cleveland's picks shaped title runs. Washington's picks came through multiple name changes and eras, but both franchises stand with 6 top selections, the most in NBA history, 31 head coaches, The Lakers and Knicks are tied for the most head coaches in NBA history, 31 each. That's 3 decades worth of clipboard carriers, strategy minds, and sideline shouters per franchise. For the Lakers, it started with John Kundla, who led the Minneapolis Lakers to multiple titles in the early days. Then came Bill Sharman in the 70s, introducing fresh training ideas and grabbing a championship. But the Showtime era made Pat Riley a legend. Fast-paced, no nonsense, and always in a suit that looked like it cost more than a bench player's contract. Then came Phil Jackson, the Zen master, stacking up 5 titles in the most coaching wins in Lakers history. Most recently, Frank Vogel delivered the 2020 championship in the bubble. The Knicks' coaching legacy starts with Red Holtzman, the coach behind both of New York's only titles in 1970 and 1973. Joe Lapchick set the tone in the early days. Pat Riley came over from the Lakers in the 90s, trying to bring some of that magic to Madison Square Garden. Lenny Wilkens and Larry Brown both had stints, both Hall of Famers, though results were mixed. And in recent years, Tom Thibodeau has helped revive the franchise with his gritty defensive system. It's fitting that both teams, historic and high profile, sit at the top of the coaching turnover list. Longevity, pressure, market expectations, they all contribute. Some coaches won titles, others just survived a few press conferences. But either way, 31 names have held the top job for each. 20,000 women. That's the number Wilt Chamberlain claimed in his 1991 autobiography, saying he had slept with 20,000 different women over the course of his life. The number didn't come from gossip or tabloids. It came straight from Wilt. He explained it in A View from Above, his own book. According to Wilt, he tracked his encounters using a day timer, a literal calendar, where he marked a check each time he was with a different woman. At one point, he said, he counted 23 check marks over 10 days. That's more than 2 new partners a day. He took that sample rate, cut it in half to be conservative, and then multiplied it by the number of days he'd been sexually active. The math gave him 20,000. The reaction? Let's just say it caused a stir. People questioned the claim's accuracy, but Wilt wasn't trying to run for office. He was talking about how important intimacy was in his life. He compared it to basketball, something he loved, something he pursued fully. He later even said that the deeper point wasn't about quantity at all. It was that one meaningful relationship might be more satisfying than all those numbers combined. Still, the claim stuck. It became part of Wilt's legend, right up there with scoring 100 points in a game. Whether you believe the number or not, it's one of the most jaw-dropping stats ever mentioned in a sports memoir. And it didn't come from the box score. 5 number 1 picks on one roster. The 1959-60 Minneapolis Lakers hold one of the oddest, but most impressive draft-related records in NBA history. They had 5 different number 1 overall draft picks on the same roster at the same time. That's more than any team before or since. It started with Baylor, who had just been taken number 1 overall in 1958 by the Lakers themselves. He wasn't just on the roster, he was their best player, already dominating with scoring and rebound. Then there was Hot Rod Hundley, the top pick in 1957, whose rights were acquired from the Cincinnati Royals. He played a key role in the Lakers' rotation that year. Frank Selvey, picked number 1 in 1954, joined the team during that same season. Ray Felix, the number 1 pick from 1953, was already there, adding depth in the paint. And finally, Chuck Scher, taken first in 1950, was also part of that year's roster. So yes, 5 number 1 picks, all in Lakers uniforms at once. The twist? That team didn't dominate. They finished the regular season with 25 wins and 50 losses, though they still made the playoff, and even pushed the Western Division Finals to 7 games. Still, the record stands. It's not about how many minutes they played or how many titles they won. It's about the sheer unmatched concentration of top draft pedigree. 5 number 1 picks on one team in one season. That's basketball trivia gold, and the Lakers own it. 10 father-son duos. LeBron James has played against 10 different pairs of NBA fathers and their sons. A stat so ridiculous, it feels made up, but it's not. It's a real-time legacy tracker built entirely on staying in the league longer than some players' entire family arcs. It started with guys like Rick Brunson, who played in LeBron's early years. Fast forward, and now LeBron's guarding Rick's son, Jalen Brunson. Then there's Gary Payton, the glove, who LeBron faced in the early 2000s. Years later, he matched up with Gary Payton II. Same story for Gary Trent and Gary Trent Jr. Kenyon Martin gave LeBron plenty of playoff battles, and now KJ Martin is trying to guard him. Jabari Smith played in the NBA before his son, Jabari Smith Jr., was even born. Now Jr.'s trying to score on a guy who played against his dad. It keeps going. Adrian Griffin, now a coach, once played against LeBron. AJ Griffin, his son, is now in the league. Juwan Howard, Samaki Walker, Glenn Robinson, Dale Davis, they all had NBA careers that overlapped with LeBron's. And now their sons, Jet Howard, Jabari Walker, Glenn Robinson III, and Trace Jackson Davis, have too. This stat doesn't need explanation. It's not about points or rings. It's about time. LeBron didn't just outlast eras, he overlapped them. Fathers and sons, entire NBA lifespans, and he's still on the court. 10 family duos and counting. 9 teams coaches. Larry Brown holds the record for coaching the most different NBA franchises. 9. That's not 9 jobs total. That's 9 different teams that looked at a whiteboard, a whistle, and a clipboard and said, yep, give it to Larry. He started with the Denver Nuggets, then moved through the New Jersey Nets, San Antonio Spurs, and Los Angeles Clippers. That's 4 already, and he hadn't even reached his most iconic stops. The Indiana Pacers gave him a long stint. The Philadelphia 76ers made the finals under his leadership. Then came the Detroit Pistons, where he finally won his NBA title in 2004. After that, he coached the New York Knicks, and later, the Charlotte Bobcats. But it wasn't just quantity. Larry Brown's resume is quality too. He took 8 of those 9 teams to the playoffs, something no other NBA coach has ever done. Most can barely survive one job. Larry kept getting new ones and making them competitive. He's also the only coach to win both a national college championship and an NBA title. Kansas in 1988 and the Pistons in 2004. Hall of Famer, sideline nomad, and clipboard lifer. Larry Brown didn't just coach, he collected franchises. 9 different teams, 1 legacy of everywhere. 13 former All-Stars traded. During the 2004 NBA season, 13 different former All-Stars were traded, setting a record for the most in any single season. It wasn't just a couple of big names, it was a league-wide reshuffle of players who'd once been centerpieces. Start with the biggest move. Vince Carter got sent from Toronto to New Jersey in December. That deal also included Alonzo Mourning, another multi-time All-Star who was later bought out. Chris Webber, still a major name at the time, was moved from Sacramento to Philadelphia in a blockbuster trade. Gary Payton and Antoine Walker both changed teams that season too, part of complicated movement that began in the offseason and continued into mid-season deals. Then you've got guys like Baron Davis, traded from the Hornets to the Warriors. Dale Davis and Tom Gugliotta were both involved in trades as well. Steve Smith, another veteran All-Star, was moved before wrapping up his career. Same with Vin Baker, who had earlier All-Star years, but found himself part of trade action that season. Clifford Robinson and Glenn Robinson, both former All-Stars, also got moved during this stretch. And Jamal Mashburn was traded despite being injured, still counting as a former All-Star changing teams during the season. So when you stack it up, 13 former All-Stars, all traded in one season, it becomes a snapshot of the league in transition. Some guys were past their peaks, others still had something to give, but the sheer volume of former stars on the move made 2004 a record-setting year for player movement. 52 unique starting lineups. The 2024 to 2025 Philadelphia 76ers officially broke the NBA record for most different starting fives in a single season. 52. That's not a typo. 52 different combinations of 5 players started at least one game. The record-breaking lineup came against the Knicks, passing the previous mark of 51 set by the Grizzlies just the year before. How did this even happen? Injuries mostly. Joel Embiid missed major chunks of the season. Paul George was also sidelined often. Role players rotated in and out, and the team leaned heavily on short-term deals and call-ups. In total, around 21 players started at least once. Some lineups actually worked. Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, Kelly Oubre Jr., and Caleb Martin went 3-0 when used together, but others, not so much. The same core group with rookie Justin Edwards instead of Martin went 0-3. Then there were lineups that looked like they were pulled from a preseason scrimmage. One starting 5 featured Grimes, Lonnie Walker, Ricky Council, Justin Edwards, and Adam Bona. That was the record-setting lineup, number 52. Even some of the more stable combinations, like Embiid, Maxey, George, and Oubre, paired with either Eric Gordon or Gershon Yabusele, only stuck together for short bursts. The constant shuffle made it nearly impossible to build consistency. It wasn't just a stat, it was the season's identity. Injuries, experiments, desperation, all of it added up to 52 unique looks. No other team has ever mixed and matched this much, and now the Sixers own the record, traded twice to the same team. Tim Thomas holds the unusual distinction of being traded from the New York Knicks to the Chicago Bulls, twice during his NBA career. 2 separate deals, 4 years apart, both sending him from Madison Square Garden to the Windy City. The first deal came in October of 2005. The Knicks sent Tim Thomas and others to Chicago, in the trade that brought Eddie Curry and Antonio Davis to New York. Thomas barely unpacked. He played only 3 games for the Bulls before being waived by March of the following year. Then came round 2. On February 19th, 2009, the Knicks did it again. This time, they sent Tim Thomas along with Jerome James and Anthony Robertson to the Bulls in exchange for Larry Hughes. That marked his second trade from the Knicks to the Bulls. Same route, same result, different year. It's rare for any player to be traded to the same team twice by the same franchise, but in Thomas's case, it became part of his basketball resume. 2 trades, same direction, same franchises involved. The Knicks called, the Bulls answered. Twice, 21 Canadians. Canada just keeps stacking talent, and now they've hit a number nobody else can touch outside the US. For the 2024 to 2025 NBA season, there are 21 Canadian players on opening night rosters. That's more than any other country not named the United States. And guess what? That's not new. It's actually the 11th straight year they've led all non-US nations in NBA representation. This isn't just a trend, it's a pattern. Every year, Canada's sending more and more players into the league. And now, they're not just filling out rosters. These guys are starting, scoring, and leading teams deep into the playoffs. Canada's influence is real, and it's been building for over a decade now. You've got stars like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City, Jamal Murray in Denver, and that's just scratching the surface. R.J. Barrett and Kelly Olynyk are both in Toronto. Dylan Brooks is in Houston, and players like Corey Joseph, Zach Edey, Luguentz Dort, and Brandon Clark round out the group. The number that stands out, 125. That's how many international players are on NBA rosters this season, and out of that huge group, Canada owns 21 of them. The numbers say it all. Canada's not just showing up, they're taking over spots, locking down minutes, and pushing their way into the spotlight year after year. No other country has done it like this lately. 11 years in a row and counting. 21 All-Star selections. LeBron James now holds the top spot in one of the NBA's most iconic categories. With 21 All-Star selections, he's officially passed everyone to become the all-time leader in total appearances. No one else in league history has more, but it's not just the number, it's how he got there. These aren't just 21 random appearances sprinkled across a long career. They're 21 in a row. Since his rookie season, way back in 2003, LeBron's been picked every single year through the 2025 season. That's 21 straight seasons of being considered one of the league's best. And that kind of consistency is almost impossible. No other player has ever done that, not once in over 70 years of NBA history. Even though he was selected for the 2025 game, he ended up sitting it out due to a foot and ankle issue. That part doesn't take away from the record. It just shows how long he's been doing this and what it's taken physically to stay at that level. His streak is unmatched, not just in basketball, but across most major sports. 21 All-Star nods means LeBron's not just in the conversation, he's setting the bar. He's played alongside different generations, in different eras, against different stars. And through it all, he's kept getting that call. Year after year, coach after coach, fan vote after fan vote. No other player has been able to do it 21 times in a row. And at this point, it's hard to imagine anyone catching him. 578 missed games. That's how many the Memphis Grizzlies piled up during the 2024 season, setting a brand new NBA record for most games lost due to injury in a single year. Think about that. Almost 600 games gone, just like that. No team in league history has had a season more derailed by health problems. They didn't just shuffle a few lineups. They rolled out 51 different starting groups. That's more changes than some teams make in a decade. On top of that, they used 33 total players, which sounds more like an open tryout than a regular season. You'd need a full team photo just to get everyone in the frame. Morant played only 9 games. First came a 25-game suspension, then a brutal shoulder tear that ended his season. That's about 73 games gone. Desmond Bane missed 42 with ankle and back issues. Marcus Smart sat out 62, thanks to a string of injuries to his ankle and finger. And even Jaren Jackson, usually pretty sturdy, missed 16. This wasn't just bad luck. It was a full-on avalanche. Night after night, the Grizzlies were forced to patch together whatever lineup they could manage. And when you're constantly switching players in and out, there's no rhythm, no chemistry, and definitely no momentum. It was a season of constant adjustment, and most of it wasn't by choice. The final number? 578 games missed. That's not just a stat. It's the story of their entire year, written in tape, braces, and walking boots. 5 starters, 1 Player of the Month award. In January of 2015, the Atlanta Hawks pulled off something the league had never seen before. The entire starting 5, Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, DeMary Carroll, Paul Millsap, and Al Horford, were named co-winners of the Kia Eastern Conference Player of the Month. That's 5 players, one award, and 0 historical precedent. Before that month, the award had always gone to an individual, but what the Hawks did in January was so evenly spread out, so balanced, that the NBA recognized all 5 starters together. They went undefeated, finishing the month 17-0. Every single one of them averaged double figures in scoring, but none cracked 20 points per game. That kind of balance doesn't usually get headlines, but in this case, it earned history. Paul Millsap led the group with around 18.3 points per game. Horford followed with 17.1. Teague added 16.6 and also led in assists. Korver chipped in 13.4 while shooting close to 57% from deep. And DeMar Carroll wasn't far behind at about 12.3. What really stood out was how they did it. They didn't just win, they outscored opponents by nearly 12 points per game. That's total team dominance. No hero ball, no stat padding, just consistent production from everyone. The award wasn't symbolic, it was statistical. It was the first time 5 starters shared the monthly honor, and it hasn't happened again. The record isn't just about wins, it's about 5 players performing so well together that the league had no choice but to give them all the credit. Allen Iverson, the ultra-high usage micro-scoring engine, at 6 feet tall and 165 pounds, he carried an offensive burden that history usually assigns to wings and oversized creators. That size and responsibility pairing just doesn't line up with traditional roster construction, and that's exactly why it stands out. His career scoring average landed at 26.7 points per game, 7th highest ever. Small guards are typically table setters. He wasn't organizing from the background, he was the system. During the 2000 to 2001 season, his usage rate hit 35.9%, leading the league. The following year, it climbed to 37.78%. That's possession control, normally reserved for players 6'6" and above. In 2000 to 2001, he averaged 31.1 points per game. In 2001 to 2002, 31.4. He also led the league in steals at 2.5 per game. During his most valuable player season, meaning the offensive hub was also generating defensive disruption. Per 36 in 2001 to 2002, he attempted 22.9 field goals, ranking first. That volume is typically interior star territory, yet the team finished with 56 wins and the top seed in the East, while he led in both scoring and usage. He won 4 scoring titles and maintained a playoff average of 29.7 points per game. That profile defines the small frame offensive dominator, a possession nucleus without prototype dimensions. Bhullar, the maximum mass interior anchor. At 7 feet 5 inches and 360 pounds, his physical profile instantly separated him from nearly every big man in league history. Height alone isn't rare in professional basketball. Height combined with that level of mass is almost unheard of. Among players at least 7 feet 5 inches and over 340 pounds, the list is basically empty. He became the 6th tallest player ever to appear in the league. His structure didn't align with modern center evolution. He wasn't a rim runner, flying in transition. He wasn't a stretch option spacing to the perimeter. He wasn't a mobility-based switch defender. His measurable role centered on interior space occupation. Across his National Basketball Association career, he appeared in 3 games and averaged 1 minute per contest. His averages were 0.7 points, 0.3 rebounds, 0.3 assists, and 0.3 blocks. That statistical footprint shows extremely limited deployment, reflecting situational use rather than rotational reliance. At New Mexico State, he averaged 10.1 points and 6.7 rebounds as a freshman, then 10.4 points and 7.8 rebounds as a sophomore, with block numbers built on vertical presence near the rim. Production leaned on proximity, defense, and size-based contesting, not perimeter movement. He entered the league undrafted in 2014 and later continued internationally, earning a Best Foreign Player honor in 2017. Structurally, his archetype is defined by extreme height, extreme weight, paint-bound defensive influence, and minimal perimeter functionality. Mikal Bridges, the modern Iron Man connector wing. He's a full-time starter, logs elite minutes, and does it without dominating possessions. That combination almost never shows up in today's league landscape. Since 2021, he hasn't missed a single game. His consecutive streak has reached 672 regular season games and 729, including playoffs. That's the longest active streak in the league during an era built around load management and scheduled rest. Only 11 players managed all 82 games in one recent season, and he's done that level of availability repeatedly. He's also ranked top 10 in total minutes, across multiple seasons. In 2024 to 2025, he logged 3,036 minutes, the most in the league and the highest total recorded since 2016 to 2017. Star players rarely lead the league in minutes anymore. He does, without functioning as an offensive engine. In 2023 to 2024, his usage rate sat at 24.3%. That's clearly below primary creators. Yet he still started all 82 games and carried heavy court time. His averages hover around 15.9 points, 4.2 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. Balanced output. No category domination. He shoots efficiently too, posting a true shooting percentage of 58.5% in 2024 to 2025 while keeping moderate usage. Add 1.4 steals and 0.8 blocks per game. And his defense impact shows up through event creation. At 6 feet 6 inches and 209 pounds, he bridges roles between initiators and finishers through constant presence. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Derrick Jones Jr., the vertical specialist wing. At 6 feet 6 inches and 210 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan, his measurements create an unusual blend of wing height and big man reach. That reach differential isn't common for perimeter players operating primarily off the ball. His defining, measurable trait is explosion. Pre-draft testing recorded a 46-inch vertical leap, placing him in the highest tier of documented leaping metrics. That verticality became his central tool. Not shot creation, not shooting gravity, not strength-based scoring. He entered the league undrafted in 2016, despite elite length and elite vertical testing. Historically, prospects with that combination are select. His pathway shows that evaluators didn't view his skill set through traditional archetype lenses. Across his career, he's averaged 7.3 points, 3.2 rebounds, and 0.8 assists per game. That statistical profile reflects limited on-ball usage. His offense is built on lob finishing, transition opportunities, and cut-based scoring. A career field goal percentage above 50% supports that finish-driven role. He's logged minutes at small forward and power forward. That positional flexibility exists because his 7-foot reach allows interior contesting and weak side rim protection despite wing side. Defensively, he's deployed for switch capability, using length and lift rather than strength containment. He's not classified as a reliable perimeter shooter, which removes spacing gravity from his value equation. In a recent season, he averaged 10.0 points while shooting over 54%. Reinforcing efficiency without creation burden, he won the 2020 Slam Dunk Contest, underscoring vertical specialization as his structural identity. Bam! The switchable playmaking center, listed at 6 feet 9 inches and 255 pounds. He carries the frame of a traditional interior big. Historically, centers at that size anchored the paint, protected the rim, and finished inside. His measurable role expands far beyond that template. In the 2019 to 2020 season, he averaged 15.9 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 5.1 assists per game. That assist number is the structural outlier. Centers have typically posted low facilitation totals, yet he functioned as a secondary creator while maintaining interior rebounding production. In 2020 to 2021, his assists increased to 5.4 per game, alongside 18.7 points and near double-digit rebound. That dual scoring and passing output from a full-time center is uncommon in league history. Defensively, his measurable impact extends across positions. He's earned 1 all-defensive first-team selection and 4 second-team selections, confirming sustained, high-level defense performance. His advanced metrics include a creation percentile of 69 and a deflections percentile of 73, indicators of perimeter engagement and active disruption, rather than stationary rim anchoring. He's surpassed 2,000 career assists within franchise history, a rare milestone for a player deployed primarily at center. Recent production of 18.5 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 2.9 assists reinforces the hybrid structure. He operates as a center who switches onto guards, facilitates offense, rebounds inside, and maintains traditional interior presence without being limited to it. Marcus Smart, the defensive primary guard, at 6 feet 3 inches and 220 pounds with a 6 feet 9 inches wingspan. His measurements give him guard height with forward length. That reach differential created cross-positional defensive capability from a backcourt slot. He's been deployed at point guard and shooting guard while carrying assignments that extend across all 5 positions. Most guards stay on the perimeter. His role regularly included larger forwards and interior players. That structural usage is uncommon for a player initiating offense. In 2021 to 2022, he won Defensive Player of the Year. He became the first guard to claim the award since 1996, and one of only 5 guards in league history to do so. That recognition confirms measurable defensive dominance from a backcourt position. His career averages include 10.6 points, 4.6 assists, 3.5 rebounds, and 1.6 steals per game. The offensive output is moderate. He's not classified as a high percentage shooter, hovering around 40% from the field. In recent seasons, that profile differs from traditional scoring-driven lead guards. He's also won the Hustle Award 3 times, an honor tied to charges drawn, loose balls recovered, and deflections. Those metrics highlight impact beyond scoring totals. In 2021, he shifted into a starting point guard role while maintaining elite defense responsibility. Most defensive specialists remain secondary pieces. His structure reverses that pattern, anchoring perimeter defense while initiating offense at a starting guard position. Lonzo Ball, the non-scoring primary point guard. He operates as a full-time lead guard without carrying primary scoring responsibility. Historically, point guards drive offensive creation through scoring pressure. His measurable structure flips that expectation. Across his career, he's averaged 10.6 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.6 assists per game. That statistical distribution shows balance rather than dominant. The assist production remains steady while scoring output stays modest compared to traditional offensive engines. At 6 feet 5 inches with a 6 feet 9 inch wingspan, he brings size uncommon for a lead facilitator. Early in his career, he averaged at least 6 rebounds per game, placing him among a very small group of guards to reach that mark. That rebounding impact aligns more closely with wing profiles than conventional point guards. In early seasons, he posted roughly 6 assists per game while scoring around 11 points. That ratio highlights initiation responsibility without high shot volume, even in reduced scoring stretches, including seasons around 4.6 points per game. On 30.1% shooting and 27.2% from 3, he maintained rotation value through passing and rebounding. Defensively, he's produced over 1 steal per game in multiple seasons, adding event creation from the perimeter. His role consistently centers on facilitating first, supporting the glass second, contributing on defense third, and scoring last. Modern primary ball handlers usually lead their teams in points. His structural identity is different, emphasizing distribution, size-based rebounding, and defensive contribution over shot creation. Lamar Odom, the oversized initiator forward. At 6 feet 10 inches and 220 pounds, his measurements matched traditional power forward structure. His functional role didn't. Instead of operating strictly as a post scorer or interior finisher, he handled the ball, directed offense, and initiated transition. Across his career, he averaged 13.3 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game. That assist production is the structural separator. Forwards at his size historically posted minimal facilitation numbers. He consistently operated between positional categories. As a rookie, he averaged 4.2 assists per game. For a player standing 6 feet 10 inches, that level of playmaking responsibility was uncommon at the time. He rebounded like a front court player and then pushed the ball himself, eliminating the need for an outlet guard. That combination merged glass work with initiation. His scoring profile included post finishes, mid-range shooting, and perimeter range, giving him multi-level production alongside ball handling duties. He played both small forward and power forward, shifting across lineups based on matchup and system. Over 14 seasons and 961 games, he maintained hybrid statistical output. He also won 6th Man of the Year, while frequently closing games over traditional centers, reflecting strategic flexibility. At his peak, few players at 6 feet 10 inches averaged near 4 assists across a career span. His structure bridged size and creation, positioning him as an early oversized facilitator before positionless systems became widespread. Michael Porter Jr., the non-creation scoring forward. At 6 feet 10 inches and 218 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan, he carries traditional scoring wing dimensions. Historically, forwards producing primary scoring numbers also drive offense off the dribble and generate assists. His structure separates scoring from initiation. In the 2025 to 2026 season, he averaged 25 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 3.2 assists per game. That scoring output aligns with primary options. The assist figure remains comparatively low for a forward producing that volume. Across multiple seasons, his assists consistently hover near 3 per game. High-scoring forwards who function as offensive engines typically post higher facilitation totals. His profile reflects scoring impact without directing possession flow. Tracking data from early career seasons recorded only 387 drive-based possessions, yet his true shooting percentage exceeded 61%. That combination highlights limited self-created volume paired with elite efficiency. More than 50% of his field goal attempts come from three-point range. His offense is heavily spacing-based rather than isolation-driven. Recent advanced metrics show true shooting above 60%, while assist rates stay modest. High scoring, high efficiency, low creation responsibility is structurally uncommon. Defensive metrics place his rating around 117 in recent seasons, indicating neutral overall impact. His rebound rate sits near 13%, solid but not dominant. He provides elite scoring volume and efficiency without functioning as a primary initiator, defining a rare scoring specialist archetype. Isaiah Thomas, the ultra-undersized primary scorer. At 5 feet 9 inches and 185 pounds, he stood among the shortest players in league history. Players at that height traditionally fill backup roles or situational guard minutes. His measurable role was completely different. He entered the league as the 60th overall pick in the 2011 draft, the final selection. Historically, players drafted in that position rarely develop into offensive focal points. His career trajectory broke that pattern through scoring responsibility. Across his career, he averaged 17.5 points and 4.8 assists per game. Those numbers indicate sustained offensive involvement rather than limited bench production. Height, typically associated with defensive limitations, did not prevent him from becoming a primary scoring option. In the 2016 to 2017 season, he averaged 28.9 points per game, ranking 3rd in the league. For a player under 6 feet tall, that scoring placement is historically rare. He also finished 5th in most valuable player voting that year, signaling league-wide recognition of offensive impact. During that same season, his team finished 1st in the Eastern Conference with a 53-29 record while he operated as the lead scorer. He became only the 6th player in franchise history to surpass 2,000 points in a single season and recorded 50 straight games with a made three-pointer. His structure defines a sub-6-foot primary offensive engine carrying elite scoring volume despite extreme size disadvantage. Ryan Anderson, the pure floor spacer big. At 6 feet 10 inches, he occupied the power forward position while functioning offensively like a perimeter specialist. During his prime years, that structural role was uncommon for a frontcourt player. In the 2011 to 2012 season, he led the league in three-point makes and three-point attempts. For a power forward, topping the entire league in perimeter volume marked a significant positional shift. Traditional players at his size operated near the rim. His scoring base came from beyond the arc. That season, he averaged 16.1 points and 7.7 rebounds, earning most improved player recognition. The scoring profile was perimeter-driven rather than post-based. Across his career, he averaged nearly 4.97 three-point attempts per game, ranking among early high-volume stretch forwards. Offensively, he was frequently deployed as a screener who popped to the perimeter instead of rolling to the basket. In those actions, he generated 1.07 points per possession, reflecting pick and pop efficiency. Around the rim, he shot 48%, while taking roughly 30% of attempts there, below typical interior finishing bigs. Per 36 minutes, at his peak, he produced 20.2 points, 7.1 rebounds, and 1.3 assists. Facilitation remained minimal. Defensive evaluations noted limited lateral mobility, reinforcing offensive specialization. His structure defined a perimeter scoring power forward whose primary value centered on three-point volume rather than interior dominance. DeAndre Jordan, the non-self-creating interior star, at 6 feet 11 inches and 265 pounds with a 7'6" wingspan. His physical profile delivered elite catch radius and rebounding reach. His measurable impact centered almost entirely around proximity to the rim. Offensively, his scoring relied on putbacks and alley-oops rather than post-creation or perimeter expansion. He did not function as a passing hub or isolation scorer. Instead, his production depended on teammate setup and vertical spacing. Across his career, he averaged 8.5 points and 9.7 rebounds per game, numbers that reflect low usage scoring despite elite tools. His efficiency, however, stands historically alone. He holds the highest career field goal percentage in league history at 67.4%. That mark was built almost exclusively on close-range finishes within a few feet of the basket. He led the league in rebounding twice and recorded a peak season of 15.0 rebounds per game. Defensively, he averaged 1.5 blocks per game and earned 2 all-defensive first-team selections, anchoring defense through rim protection and vertical presence. His free throw percentage of 47.5% led opponents to intentionally foul him, highlighting offensive limitations outside finishing. At his peak, he produced 12.7 points, 13.8 rebounds, and over 70% shooting, achieving all NBA recognition without self-generated offense. Andre Miller, the non-athletic, post-oriented point guard. At 6 feet 3 inches and 200 pounds, he carried traditional guard size without relying on vertical explosion or perimeter scoring. His career three-point percentage sat at 21.7%, reflecting minimal long-range impact. Across 17 seasons, despite limited shooting range, he averaged 6.5 assists per game and totaled 8,524 assists, ranking 13th all-time. In 2001 to 2002, he led the league with 10.89 assists per game. That production confirms primary orchestration responsibility without speed-based shot creation. Across 1,304 games, he averaged 12.5 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. His field goal percentage of 46.1% is notable for a guard lacking perimeter efficiency. Much of his scoring came from post positioning and interior angles rather than pull-up shooting. He accumulated 4,795 rebounds, an unusually high total for a point guard. Durability defined his career, missing only 3 games due to injury while playing 17 seasons. His offensive tempo centered on strength, positioning, and pace control instead of acceleration. He remains the only player in league history with 16,000 points, 8,000 assists, and 1,500 steals without an all-star selection. His structure represents a strength-based interior initiating guard whose impact came through passing precision and post-scoring rather than athletic burst. Rip Hamilton, the off-ball movement scoring wing. At 6 feet 7 inches and 185 pounds, he had standard wing size, but his scoring profile diverged from traditional shooting guard models. He did not rely on isolation creation, strength-based drives, or ball-dominant initiation. Across 921 games, he averaged 17.1 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 3.4 assists per game. Those numbers reflect consistent scoring without functioning as a primary ball handler. His three-point percentage sat at 34.6% for his career. Moderate efficiency without high-volume attempts. His production was not built on modern spacing principles. Instead, his offensive identity centered on mid-range, scoring, and continuous off-ball relocation. He generated shots through constant cutting, curls, and catch-and-shoot opportunities inside the arc. Unlike many high-level scoring guards, he did not depend on pick-and-roll dominance or extended dribble sequences to create separation. His conditioning supported that structure. Sustained movement was necessary because his scoring required constant motion rather than stationary isolation. During the 2003 playoffs, he led Detroit in scoring at 22.5 points per game without primary facilitation duties. He earned 3 All-Star selections and won a championship in 2004 while operating inside that movement-based system. His archetype reflects a high-volume scorer whose offensive value came through motion and mid-range efficiency rather than possession control or heavy three-point reliance. Enes Kanter, the offensive specialist center without defensive anchor role. At 6 feet 10 inches and 250 pounds, he carried traditional interior size and operated primarily at center. Historically, players in that position generate value through rim protection and defensive control. His measurable production leaned heavily toward scoring and rebounding instead. Across 11 seasons, he averaged 11.2 points and 7.8 rebounds per game, while producing 0.9 assists. That distribution reflects interior finishing with minimal facilitation responsibility. His career field goal percentage of 54.8% indicates efficient scoring around the basket, while a three-point percentage of 28.9% shows limited perimeter expansion. During his time in New York, he averaged 14.0 points and 10.8 rebounds per game, reinforcing strong interior glasswork paired with low playmaking involvement. Over his career, he scored 8,349 points, primarily through post touches, second chance opportunities, and close range positioning rather than off dribble creation. Defensively, his career averages of 0.5 blocks and 0.4 steals per game indicate limited event generation for a center. Traditional big men often anchor defense through shot blocking and rim deterrence. His statistical profile shows scoring and rebounding concentration without high defensive disruption. His archetype reflects a center whose primary measurable value came from efficient interior offense and glass control rather than defensive anchoring. Fred VanVleet, the undrafted system engine. He entered the league in 2016 without being selected in the draft, a pathway rarely associated with long-term starting point guards. At 6 feet 0 inches and 197 pounds, his physical profile aligns more closely with rotational guards than franchise-level initiators. He began by splitting time between the main roster and the developmental affiliate, contributing to a 2017 G League championship team. That developmental integration is uncommon for players who later assume primary decision-making roles. By the 2019 to 2020 season, he averaged 17.6 points, 6.6 assists, and 1.9 steals per game. Those numbers reflect lead guard responsibility on both ends. In the 2019 finals, he averaged 14.0 points per game and set a finals record with 16 made three-pointers off the bench, combining volume shooting with championship impact. He later scored 54 points in a single game, the highest single game total ever recorded by an undrafted player. He also holds franchise records for 20 assists in one game and 54 points in one game, the only player in team history to control both marks outright. Defensively, he specializes in ball disruption and holds the single-season record for blocked shots by a player his height or shorter. Career averages of 13.3 points and 4.7 assists confirm sustained system-level orchestration without size advantage. Andre Iguodala, the low-usage championship impact wing. Across his career, he averaged 11.3 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 4.2 assists per game. That statistical profile reflects balanced contribution without primary scoring dominance. In the 2015 finals, he averaged 16.3 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 4.0 assists, and was named Finals Most Valuable Player. He did not lead the series in scoring and became the first Finals Most Valuable Player who did not start every game in the series. That structural outcome is historically rare. During that series, he served as the primary defender on LeBron James. When defended by Iguodala, James shot 38.1% compared to 44% against other defenders. That measurable differential ties defensive assignment directly to series impact. He entered that season in a bench role after previously starting 806 consecutive games. He then won Finals Most Valuable Player honors after beginning the series as a reserve, the only instance of that occurrence in league history. He won 4 championships across 2015, 2017, 2018, and 2022, while functioning as a defensive wing, secondary playmaker, and connector rather than an offensive engine. During the 2015 finals, he ranked first in net rating among players logging at least 20 minutes per game, reinforcing championship impact without high usage scoring. Duncan Robinson, the movement shooting specialist. At 6 feet 7 inches and 215 pounds, he has standard wing size, yet his measurable role centers almost entirely on perimeter shooting rather than ball handling or rim pressure. He entered the league undrafted in 2018 after beginning his college career at Division III Williams, becoming the first former Division III player to debut in the league since Devine George. Within 2 seasons, he became a regular starter on a finals team, earning rotation minutes through shooting specialization. Across his career, he has shot approximately 39.7% from three-point range. Of 3,751 career field goal attempts, 3,026 have come from beyond the arc. That means roughly 80% of his shots are threes, an extreme distribution even among perimeter players. He became Miami's all-time franchise leader in made three-pointers with 1,202, Despite not functioning as a primary scorer or facilitator, his career averages of 11.4 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 1.8 assists reflect limited multi-category production. During the 2019 to 2020 season, he made 273 pointers, tied for the 25th highest single-season total in league history. His role classification centers on movement shooting, generating offense through constant off-ball relocation rather than isolation or pick-and-roll initiation. Jerami Grant, the low rebound scoring forward. At 6 feet 7 inches and 213 pounds, he fits traditional power forward and wing side. Historically, players in that frame who operate as primary scorers also generate strong rebounding totals. His measurable profile separates those responsibilities. In recent seasons, he has averaged approximately 18 to 19 points per game, reflecting lead scoring usage from a forward slot. During his Portland tenure, he averaged 17.3 points per game, reinforcing consistent offensive responsibility. Shot volume supports that role with roughly 13 field goal attempts per game. Despite that scoring involvement, his rebounding numbers remain low for the position. Recent seasons show only 3.5 to 3.7 rebounds per game. Across his career, he averages approximately 3.9 rebounds. For a forward playing major minutes, that output is structurally below traditional interior expectations. Playmaking also remains limited. He typically produces around 2 to 3 assists per game, indicating that he is not functioning as an offensive initiator. His statistical footprint centers on scoring efficiency and perimeter-oriented offense rather than multi-category production. Across 12 seasons, he has averaged 13.4 points and 3.9 rebounds per game, reinforcing the pattern. He provides wing-style scoring and floor spacing while lacking traditional power forward glass, impact, or high assist totals. His archetype reflects a perimeter-focused scoring forward without interior statistical presence. Asar Thompson, the non-shooting utility wing, at 6 feet 7 inches and roughly 210 to 215 pounds with a 7-foot wingspan. He carries above average length for a wing. Add a reported 38-inch vertical leap, and the physical profile points to elite athletic capacity rather than perimeter shot making. In overtime, elite competition, he averaged 6.1 assists and 6.9 rebounds per game. For a player at 6 feet 7 inches, that assist production is structurally unusual. Wings at that size are rarely primary facilitators. Pair that with 2.7 steals and 1.3 blocks per game, and the defensive disruption profile becomes clear. His statistical footprint combines forward-level rebounding with guard-level passing and event creation. That multi-category production doesn't rely on shooting gravity. His three-point percentage in overtime elite sat at 30%, indicating developing range rather than established spacing value. Offensively, his measurable strengths center on transition scoring, driving, and above-the-rim finishing. He generates advantages through speed, vertical explosion, and movement instead of perimeter isolation. Scouting indicators emphasize lateral quickness and open court impact, aligning with switch-heavy defensive systems. Early professional stat lines frequently include contributions across points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. His projected pathway reflects possession impact through defense, facilitation, and athleticism, rather than functioning as a primary scoring focal point or floor spacing wing. Nick Batum, the true hybrid connector forward. At 6 feet 7 inches and 230 pounds, he carried forward size while operating with guard-level facilitation responsibilities. He logged minutes at shooting, guard, small forward, and power forward, reflecting structural positional flexibility. Across his career, he averaged 9.7 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 3.0 assists per game. That statistical distribution shows balanced production without dominance in any single category. He wasn't a primary scorer, lead rebounder, or full-time point guard. His value came from connective impact across roles. During the 2012 to 2013 season, he averaged 4.9 assists per game, an unusually high number for a forward-sized player. In that same season, he recorded a 5-by-5 game with 11 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, and 5 blocks. Only 15 such games had been recorded since 1985, highlighting rare multi-category defensive and playmaking involvement. His career averages also include 1.0 steals and 1.6 made three-pointers per game, combining perimeter spacing with defensive disruption. career totals of 11,484 points, 5,606 rebounds, and 3,590 assists reinforce sustained balance. Across 18 seasons, he averaged roughly 10 points per game while playing starter-level minutes in multiple years. At times, he spent approximately 21% of his minutes at power forward, despite possessing guard-oriented skills, solidifying his hybrid connector profile. Level 1. Underrated steals. Isaiah Hartenstein wasn't just drafted in the second round, he was dragged down to the 43rd spot because of a supposed knee issue that never even existed. Medical red flag? More like medical fiction. Despite bouncing around early, including G League assignments and team changes, he locked in once he hit New York. There, he became a true two-way presence. His numbers in the 2023 to 2024 season, career highs across the board, points, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals, check, check, and check. Once the Knicks starter went down, he stepped up and never looked back. And what did that get him? A big payday and, oh yeah, a championship as the starting center for the Thunder. Not too bad for a guy who most teams passed over for a ghost injury. Josh Hart came in at pick 30 in 2017. Not exactly a pick people circle in red marker. But what's he done since? Outworked just about every guy drafted ahead of him. Hart's not flashy, but he does all the things winning teams need. He rebounds like a big, passes like a guard, and guards like he's double his size. You want a guy who does a little bit of everything and never stops moving. That's Hart. He's not a stat sheet king, but he fills it up every night. And for a guy drafted at the very end of the first round, his value on the court has gone way past what most teams expect from that pick. He's the ultimate glue guy. And yes, that phrase is tired, but it fits. Jerami Grant was drafted 39. Now that sounds low-key, but what's wild is how consistent he's been ever since. He developed into exactly the kind of player today's teams crave. A long, switchable forward who can shoot, defend, and play anywhere on the floor. And that's not an exaggeration. He fits every team in every era of the last 5 years. His role grew from spot minutes to real offensive threat while maintaining strong defense. It's not just about scoring, it's about being able to switch on defense, space the floor, and never be a liability on either end. That's Grant in a nutshell. Players like him don't usually come out of the second round. He broke the curve. PJ Tucker, drafted 35th in 2006. If you blinked, you missed his rookie year. He was gone, shipped to the development league and basically written off. But guess what? He stormed back years later and turned into one of the most reliable vets in the league. Tucker didn't win games with flashy offense. He did it with grit, physicality, and locking down opponents. His corner three became automatic, and his defense, constant. He's the guy every contender ends up chasing at the trade deadline. For a player drafted in the second round who was nearly out of the league, that kind of turnaround screams steal. Devo was picked in the middle of the first round. That's usually where teams grab role players and prey. Instead, Devo turned into a lights-out shooter and a clutch performer. He broke franchise records for threes with the Knicks, including an eye-popping 11 triples in a single game. That's the kind of shooting that shifts playoff series.
Gets it out to Anunoby. DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead.
And speaking of playoffs, he dropped 9 threes in a game 7. That's not just hot shooting. That's stepping up when it counts most. For a guy picked outside the lottery, that's rare air. Emmanuel quickly went 25th overall. At first glance, that's not bad, but even that doesn't capture how much he's delivered. After being traded to Toronto, he took off, averaging over 18 points a game and proving he could be a real lead guard. That's not a bench spark anymore. That's a full-on offensive weapon. His growth as a scorer and playmaker went beyond the typical ceiling for someone drafted that late. He's not just outplaying expectations, he's blown past them. Karis LeVert came in at pick 20, but injuries early on made him a question mark. Once healthy though, he made an instant impact. Not a star, but a guy who scores, passes, and holds his own on defense. He had an 18.7 average in a season where he got steady minutes. That's not common for a guy picked in the 20s. Teams dream of that kind of upside at that spot, but most of the time, it doesn't pan out. With LeVert, it did. Trey Murphy was pick 17, which usually means solid potential, but limited expectations. He needed some G League seasoning, but once he found his footing, the guy exploded. By year 3, he was putting up over 20 points a night. He became a true floor spacer with size and confidence. In New Orleans, backed it up with a big extension, over $100 million. That's not a gamble, that's payment for production. He turned into a wing every team wishes they grabbed earlier. Each one of these guys wasn't just underappreciated. They've all outpaced what teams projected. And the common thread? They didn't hit early, they hit consistently. That's what makes them underrated steals. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways. Level 2, clear value picks. C.J. McCollum entered the league from a tiny school, but his resume was anything but small. He was Lehigh's all-time leading scorer, and that college production translated. Taken in the first round of the 2013 draft, McCollum wasn't just a safe bet. He was a consistent payoff. In Portland, he became a reliable scoring guard who could drop 20 plus any night. Not just in bursts, he averaged around 21 points for multiple seasons. He had high scoring explosions, hit big shots in clutch moments, and worked perfectly alongside Star. He didn't shock the league with superstardom, but he became the exact kind of player his draft slot promised. And then some, a classic value pick that aged well. Zach LaVine came in at 13th overall in the 2014 draft. He wasn't a top pick, but his upside was through the roof. He had that vertical pop and highlight reel style everyone talks about, but it wasn't just flash. He backed it up with all-star production, with multiple selections and big-time scoring seasons. For a mid-lottery pick, LaVine became exactly what teams hope for. A player who starts, scores, and lifts an offense. He made the jump from raw athlete to offensive threat. And for pick 13, that's the kind of return general managers dream about. Malcolm Brogdon. Now here's where value gets clearer. He was picked 36th in the 2016 draft. A second rounder who walked right into Rookie of the Year honor. That almost never happens. His college career at Virginia was loaded with accolades, but teams weren't sold because of his age and athleticism. Big mistake. Brogdon became a rock-solid two-way player, scoring, playmaking, defending, and making smart decisions everywhere he's played. His value is in his steadiness. You know exactly what you're getting. And for a second-round pick, that's not just a win, that's daylight robbery. Kemba Walker was drafted 9th overall in 2011, and that NCAA title run at Connecticut put him on the map. He didn't take long to show why he went in the top 10. Over his NBA career, he averaged nearly 20 points per game, made 4 All-Star teams, and turned Charlotte into something watchable for a change. He wasn't the biggest guard, but his heart, clutch scoring, and shot creation gave his teams real juice. For a 9th pick, that kind of long-term value, including high usage years and leadership, is textbook clear value. Not a gamble, not a surprise, just solid investment. Sabonis was the 11th pick in 2016, but what he's done makes it feel like he should have gone way higher. After bouncing early in Oklahoma City, he broke out in Indiana and then kept climbing. 3 All-Star selections, multiple All-NBA nods, and he's led the league in rebounds a lot. He's a passing big, a walking double-double, and one of the best interior producers in the game. For the 11th pick, that kind of resume stands out. Teams dream about getting that kind of front court value without using a top 5 pick. Sabonis gave them exactly that. Brook Lopez went 10th in the 2008 draft and made an impact instantly. His rookie year, over 13 points and 8 boards per game, with shot blocking and full season durability. He made the all-rookie first team and never looked back. Lopez became a 20-point scorer in his prime, but what makes him a clear value pick is the way he adapted. As the league changed, so did he. He turned himself into a 3-point shooting rim protector, something teams now pay a premium for. His ability to evolve while staying productive kept him valuable over a long career. 10th pick, absolutely worth it. Gordon Hayward was picked 9th in 2010, and he proved Utah right. Over more than 800 games, he averaged 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. He made the All-Star game in 2017 and played valuable roles for multiple franchises, even while dealing with some tough injury stretches. Still, Hayward gave his teams real minutes, smart play, and that hybrid forward game everyone wants now. A top 10 pick who delivered and adapted. No surprises, just consistent return on the original investment. OG came in way later, 23rd overall in the 2017 draft. That's the range where teams hope for a bench contributor. OG gave them much more. He quickly carved out a starting role, showed off two-way ability, and flashed games where he scored 30 plus while defending at a high level. One game, 32 points, 7 boards, 7 steals. That's elite production on both ends. He's the kind of player that championship level teams chase. And Toronto locked him in with a long-term extension, showing they saw his real worth early. For pick 23, that's massive value. So what ties all of these players together? They weren't shocking steal. Their draft slots made sense at the time, but what they did afterward, that's what matters. Each one fulfilled or exceeded the role they were drafted to play. Whether it was scoring, defending, rebounding, or playmaking, they gave teams exactly what was promised, sometimes more. And in the NBA, where every pick is a gamble, these players weren't gambles. They were smart bets that paid off. That's what makes them clear value picks. Level 3, major steals. Isaiah Thomas was literally the final pick in the 2011 draft, 60th. That's usually where teams stash a player overseas or fill out a training camp roster. Instead, Thomas stormed into the league and averaged over 11 points and 4 assists as a rookie. That alone would have been more than expected, but he didn't stop there. By the 2016 season, he was dropping over 20 points per game, earning all-star selections and making all-NBA second team. This was all from a player under 6 feet tall who teams doubted would last. The value Boston got from him during his run was absurd. Final pick in the draft, he turned that into elite production. That's not just a steal, that's a franchise miracle. Shawn Kemp wasn't taken at the bottom of the draft, but his career sure looked like someone skipped over a future star. He was drafted in the middle of the first round, and while that comes with some hope, it's usually not where you find a 6-time All-Star and an athletic phenomenon. Kemp became a front-court wrecking ball. Power, bounce, flair, he brought everything. He was a central piece for a contending team and changed what people expected from athletic forwards. His dominance on the glass and around the rim wasn't just exciting, it was productive. For where he was taken, Kemp's career soared well above his draft slot. That's the kind of value teams dream of getting without using a top 5 pick. Pascal was taken 27th overall in 2016. By that point, most teams are just hoping to get a rotation guy. Toronto got a core piece for a title team. Pascal went from G League minutes to starting in the finals and delivering. He didn't just make an impact in 1 year either. He's had multiple seasons averaging over 20 points, grabbing boards, dishing assists, and playing quality defense. His game evolved every year. He earned an all-star spot and has been a consistent presence on both ends. For a pick that late in the first round, he became far more than expected. That's how a late pick becomes a major steal. Chris Middleton was drafted 39th in the second round. His rookie year was forgettable, but his career didn't stay that way. Traded to Milwaukee, he developed into a high-level wing who averaged nearly 20 points for several seasons, made 3 All-Star teams, and helped the Bucks win a championship. He hit clutch shots in big games, provided two-way play, and proved to be a go-to scorer when it mattered most. That's not normal for a second-rounder. His rise was steady and legitimate. For that draft position, Middleton delivered elite value over time. Goran Dragic was picked 45th in 2008. As a European guard with limited buzz, there wasn't much chatter around him. But then he became an all-star, made all-NBA third team, and carried teams as a lead playmaker. He was consistent, tough, and knew how to run an offense. Add in his international success, including being named MVP of a European title, run with Slovenia, and his resume is stacked. He wasn't just a second-round success story, he became a real leader and high-level contributor. His draft slot didn't come close to matching what he became. Rudy Gobert was taken 27th overall in the first round. It's not unheard of for a big man taken there to make a roster, but becoming one of the greatest defensive centers of his generation, that wasn't on the table. Gobert has won 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards, made multiple All-NBA teams, and completely altered games with his presence. He doesn't just block shots, he erases them. He leads the league in rebounds, controls the paint, and makes teams change their strategy just to avoid him. That kind of two-way impact from pick 27, that's a massive steal. Bam was picked 14th overall in 2017. That's lottery adjacent, not top 5. So expectations are for a solid big, not a 3-time All-Star with all defensive honors. Bam became the defensive anchor of a finals team, a switchable big who can guard every position and still drop a double-double. He passes, he scores, he defends, and he leads. His combination of versatility and consistency turned him into one of the league's most valuable big men, and he's still in his prime. For a pick just outside the true lottery, he became way more than what teams usually get. DeAndre Jordan was taken 35th in 2008, and for a long stretch, he was one of the best centers in basketball. He led the league in field goal percentage and rebounds, made multiple All-NBA teams, and protected the rim like his paycheck depended on it, which, to be fair, it eventually did. His offense was mostly dunks, but nobody cared. He rebounded everything, blocked everything, and kept defenses honest. For a second-round pick, to become the best in the league at anything is rare. Jordan did it in multiple categories. What makes all these players major steals is that they weren't expected to be the centerpieces or cornerstone, and yet that's exactly what they became. Whether it was all-star nods, championships, record-setting efficiency, or elite two-way play, they all turned modest draft capital into massive return. Some were picked last, others in the middle or end of the first round, and a few were second-round long shots. But every one of them crushed expectations. That's what makes them more than good picks. They're major steals. Level 4, robberies. This is where things get interesting. These players weren't just solid picks. They were low-cost, low expectation gambles that turned into cornerstone level wins. The gap between where they were drafted and what they became is massive. And yeah, teams definitely lost sleep over letting them slip. Jalen Brunson went 33rd overall. That's not just outside the first round, that's in the you might be a bench guy for 3 years and disappear range. Instead, he's become the engine of one of the most efficient offenses in the league. As a lead guard, he's not only scoring efficiently, he's running entire offensive schemes like he wrote them. Players picked in the 30s don't usually turn into floor generals who can carry playoff expectations. And yet, here we are. What the Knicks paid to get him compared to what he's actually doing, that's a robbery. Plain and simple. Jimmy Butler's story is a bit of a slow burn. Taken 30th in the draft, expectations weren't exactly sky high. The end of the first round is where teams usually stash projects or bet on specialists. But Butler chipped away at every assumption. He became a high-level two-way player, locking up on defense, creating offense, and eventually transforming into the kind of leader who completely shifts a team's identity. He's not just productive, he's a culture changer. You don't get that at pick 30. That's like finding a diamond in a clearance bin. Kyle Lowry came off the board at 24. Not exactly the basement of the draft, but definitely not the penthouse. And still, that slot didn't scream future. All-star or championship point guard, but that's what he became. His run with the Raptors cemented him as one of the best leaders at his position. 6 All-Star appearances, a title, and a reputation for toughness and winning habits. That's a portfolio way bigger than most picks in that range. The league doesn't hand out that kind of value every June. The return Toronto got compared to what most 24th picks turn into? Straight up robbery. Then there's Gilbert Arenas, 31st pick, second round. And somehow, he went on to become one of the league's most dangerous scorers. His jump between year 1 and year 2 was ridiculous. Scoring, passing, rebounding, all up. And then he just kept rising. 3-time All-Star, most improved, and a legit number 1 scoring option. The fact that he went that late in the draft and delivered that much value is a robbery that still stings. For the teams that passed on him, Donovan Mitchell was picked 13th, right on the edge of the lottery. Not a reach, but also not someone teams expected to be elite. And yet, he developed into one of the best guards in the league. Explosive scoring, solid defense, and now he's got All-NBA first team on his resume. A lot of 13th picks end up as role players. Mitchell became the centerpiece of a franchise. That's not just a good pick, that's a swipe. Devin Booker landed at the exact same spot, 13th overall. And somehow, teams still underestimated what he'd become. Now he's got a 70-point game to his name, multiple All-Star nods, and he's been leading playoff pushes for years. Mid-lottery picks don't usually come with that kind of scoring touch that quickly. He jumped levels fast and never looked back. When a guy drafted that far back becomes the face of a franchise, yeah, someone got robbed. Paul Millsap was a 47th pick. That's practically, hey, maybe this guy sticks around for training camp territory. But he turned that into 16 years of pro ball and 4 All-Star selection. He wasn't flashy, but he did everything well. Rebounded, scored, defended, showed up every night. That level of consistent two-way value from a second rounder, that's not just a hit, that's a heist. Marc Gasol went even lower, 48th. And the expectations for international second rounders, let's just say they're not exactly sky high. But he came in, anchored defenses, won Defensive Player of the Year, made multiple All-Star teams, and played a huge role in a title run. Big men drafted that low don't usually end up defining eras for their teams, but he did. For what Memphis and later Toronto got out of him, it's robbery with a European passport. These guys weren't just overlooked. They flipped their draft slots upside down. The league saw backups, and they delivered stars. Level 5, franchise-changing steals. These are the guys who didn't just outperform their draft slot, they rewired the DNA of the franchises that picked them. They weren't supposed to be faces of dynasties or blueprints for team identity. And yet, here they are, defining eras, shifting trajectories, and changing what success even looks like. Klay Thompson went 11th, decent pick. but nobody saw him helping launch one of the most dominant teams of the modern era. His elite shooting and ability to stretch the floor changed Golden State's offensive blueprint. His defense gave them balance, and his quiet consistency gave them stability. Clay's the reason opposing teams couldn't just focus on Steph Curry, leave him open for 1 second, and he'd make you pay. That combination of off-ball movement, three-point shooting, and two-way impact helped create the very concept of the Warriors dynasty. For a pick just outside the top 10, he became the definition of a franchise changer. But then there's his teammate, Draymond Green, taken 35th. That's second round. That's maybe he'll make the roster territory. Instead, he became the Warriors' defensive nerve center, emotional engine, and the guy who tied the whole system together. He could guard anyone, run the offense like a point forward, and still talk more trash than the entire bench combined. His skill set didn't scream star, but it screamed impact. He let the Warriors play small, fast, and unselfish, and win with it. A guy like that in the second round? That's franchise-altering theft. Manu was taken 57. That's nearly the last pick in the draft. Yet somehow, he became one of the most important players in Spurs history, a 4-time champion, the ultimate sixth man, and the guy who made the Eurostep a household move. Manu's game was unpredictable, creative, and chaotic in the best way possible. He made winning plays that didn't always show up in the box score. A key rebound, a late steal, a perfectly timed assist. His presence gave the Spurs bench firepower and balance, and his influence helped shape one of the most respected cultures in the league. For a second rounder, that's all-time value. But then we got another piece of the Spurs dynasty. Tony Parker was selected 28th. He wasn't supposed to be an all-star, let alone a finals MVP. Yet he ran point for the Spurs during their golden age, delivering 4 championships while carving up defenses with speed and precision. He didn't rely on flash, he just beat you with control, tempo, and experience. His pick-and-roll game, mid-range floaters, and ability to dictate pace gave the Spurs exactly what they needed, year after year. For a late first-round pick to lead a dynasty from the point guard spot, that's a franchise-changing move that paid off for nearly 2 decades. Paul Pierce came off the board at number 10. That's inside the lottery, but not elite territory. Still, he became the face of the Celtics for over a decade. Pierce could score from anywhere, hit clutch shots like it was his job, because it was, and carried Boston through some tough years before finally delivering a title. He was named Finals MVP when they won it all. More than that, he gave the franchise a long-term star who never blinked under pressure. From 10th pick to franchise icon, yeah, that qualifies. Reggie Miller went 11th. Not the biggest name on draft night, but his 18 years with Indiana rewrote their history. Miller became one of the greatest shooters ever, and not just statistically. He was the original heat check guy, the one who could change a game with the one flurry. He took the Pacers from afterthought to perennial contender, including a finals appearance in 2000. His shot was the weapon, but his loyalty was the glue. Drafting him at 11 gave Indiana nearly 2 decades of stability, production, and identity. Then there's Dennis Rodman, drafted 27th overall in the second round. Not even a first rounder. What he became? A Hall of Famer, 7-time rebounding champ, and one of the fiercest defenders ever. He anchored defenses with no need for scoring, just pure effort, physicality, and chaos. Whether it was Detroit, Chicago, or San Antonio, teams got better with Rodman. He turned hustle into hardware and carved out one of the most impactful careers ever from a second round spot. For that draft slot, that's a total steal that changed franchises more than once. Chris Paul was taken 4th, so yeah, he was expected to be good, but even top 5 picks rarely deliver the kind of franchise-changing value Paul brought. He took the Hornets from irrelevance to contention. Then he went to the Clippers and turned Lob City into a real playoff threat. Then he went to Phoenix and carried them to the finals. He's been the constant. Elite passing, elite defense, unmatched leadership. His impact outlasts coaches, teammates, and playbooks. It's one thing to be great, it's another to go from team to team and elevate every one of them. That's franchise changing at the highest level. These 8 didn't just exceed expectations, they warped them. They didn't just help their teams win, they helped shape how their franchises think about winning, and none of that was guaranteed when they were drafted. Level 6, historic heist. These are the picks that don't just age well, they age like artifacts in a museum. The kind of draft choices that look solid in the moment, but years later turn out to be once-in-a-generation wins that completely rewrote league history, team legacy, or both. These aren't just stars, these are the blueprints. Dirk Nowitzki was picked 9th and immediately traded. At the time, interesting but not earth-shattering. But over 21 seasons with Dallas, Dirk became one of the most impactful players ever. He turned the stretch big idea into a nightmare for defenders, won league MVP in 2007, and carried the Mavericks to their only title in 2011. His combination of loyalty, unguardable footwork, and elite shooting changed how teams viewed European players and how they built around 7-footers. A top 10 pick, sure, but nobody guessed he'd be the league's highest scoring international player ever. That's a historic heist. D-Wade went 5th. That sounds high, but considering how good that draft class was, expectations were reasonable, not generational. By year 3, he had already won a championship and finals MVP. His dominance in that 2006 run was unmatched. He won a scoring title, made All-NBA and All-Defensive teams, and later became the face of a super team. Miami built everything around him: their culture, their branding, their championship expectations. The Heat didn't just pick a good guard, they picked their future. That kind of return from pick 5, that's historic. Kawhi Leonard, selected 15th, wasn't even supposed to be a top scorer. His value was tied to defense and hustle. But after landing in San Antonio via draft day trade, he evolved into a two-way destroyer. He won Defensive Player of the Year twice, became a 2-time Finals MVP, and won titles for 2 different teams, including delivering Toronto's only ring in franchise history. He made entire systems possible with his isolation scoring and elite wing defense. For a pick that late in the lottery, the ceiling was maybe solid rotation guy. Kawhi broke the ceiling and the roof. Karl Malone went 13th in a draft full of questions. He ended up playing nearly 20 seasons, made 14 All-NBA teams, and finished his career second on their all-time scoring list. His scoring, rebounding, and consistency gave Utah one of the longest-running playoff streaks in league history. He wasn't just productive, he redefined the power forward position as an offensive centerpiece. His pick wasn't a swing-for-the-fences move, but it turned into one of the league's most reliable and dominant careers. That's how you steal greatness. John Stockton wasn't flashy on draft night. The Utah Jazz picked him 16th, a safe spot for a backup guard, or maybe a long-term project. Instead, they got the league's all-time leader in assists and steals. He made 11 All-NBA teams, was an All-Star 10 times, and ran one of the most efficient offenses in NBA history. He and Malone built a legacy of pick-and-roll mastery and postseason consistency. His quiet game belied massive impact. And for pick 16, that was larceny with a clipboard. Steve Nash, taken 15th, bounced around early before becoming the centerpiece of a revolution in Phoenix. Back-to-back MVPs, countless assist titles, and an offensive system that shaped the next generation of NBA offenses. Nash wasn't just good, he was pivotal. His passing vision, shooting, and tempo gave birth to modern pace and space basketball. The league had never seen a point guard weaponize movement and precision like that. Nash turned a respectable pick into a cultural shift. That's a heist with ripple effects. George Gervin might be the most blatant robbery of them all. Taken in the 3rd round, 40th overall, he didn't even suit up for the Suns. They traded his rights, and the Spurs reaped all the benefits. He went on to win 4 scoring titles, make 9 All-Star teams, and post a scoring average above 25 points per game across a 14-season career. His finger roll is legendary. His impact on San Antonio's early identity, massive. He wasn't just ahead of his draft slot, he was in another galaxy. Getting that at pick 40, that's a generational swindle. Clyde Drexler was picked 14th, a pick often reserved for hopeful role players or system fits, but Drexler was a walking triple threat. He made 10 All-Star appearances, led Portland to 2 finals, and capped off his career with a title in Houston. He could score, pass, rebound, defend, all at a high level. He helped build Portland's success and later proved he could be the missing piece on a championship roster. From pick 14 to franchise icon, that's not just value, that's a historic haul. All 8 of these guys were drafted outside the top 4. None were expected to reshape the game, lead franchises for decades, or earn statues. And yet, they did exactly that. They made their teams better. They made the league smarter. They made the draft board look foolish. And they did it without ever looking back. Level 7, all-time steals. This is where value meets myth. These are the picks that didn't just exceed expectations, they rewrote the rules, redefined what greatness looks like, and made front offices look like accidental geniuses. Their draft slots might not sound criminal, but once the careers played out, the return made every other team's decision look like a paperwork error. Nikola Jokic was taken 41st overall. Not top 10, not first round, not even while the cameras were on. His name flashed across the screen during a fast food commercial. Yet what he's done since then is absurd. Multiple MVPs, a finals MVP, and a championship later, he's changed what a center can be. He passes like a guard, scores with finesse, rebounds everything, and makes entire team systems orbit around his brain. No second-round pick should be able to run an offense like this, let alone dominate playoff series with such calm control. Jokic wasn't just a good pick, he's a cheat code in disguise, turning the 41st pick into a franchise cornerstone and one of the most skilled bigs in league history. That's textbook all-time steal. Michael Jordan went third. Yes, top 3. But here's the thing. Even with a high pick, what he became wasn't guaranteed. Nobody expects the third pick to become the greatest basketball player ever. The level of dominance, the trophies, the cultural impact, the 6 championships, the finals MVPs, that's not just a good return on investment. That's unprecedented. Plenty of top 3 picks fizzle. Jordan turned his slot into an empire. He set the bar for scoring, defense, leadership, competitiveness, all of it. Drafting him didn't just improve a franchise, it gave birth to a global icon. Kobe Bryant was taken 13th. That's right, 12 teams passed on him. Drafted straight out of high school and then traded before he ever played a minute, Kobe transformed into one of the fiercest competitors and most complete guards the game has ever seen. 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, a scoring title, and a legacy so strong, it became a mindset. From pick 13, the Lakers didn't just get a future star. They got 20 years of greatness, leadership, clutch moments, and loyalty. The gap between his draft slot and his legacy is so wide, it practically deserves its own zip code. Steph Curry went 7, not lottery top 3, not the kind of pick that screams league-shifting legend. But Curry didn't just thrive, he changed the entire game. His shooting forced defenses to rethink geometry. He became a 2-time MVP, led the Warriors to 4 titles, and sparked a revolution in spacing, pace, and player development. The 7th pick usually gets you a solid contributor. Curry gave Golden State a dynasty, a new playbook, and global attention. That return on a mid-lottery bet, pure gold. Giannis was selected 15th. At the time, he was raw potential, an overseas flyer. He turned into a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, and brought Milwaukee its first title in 50 years. He scores, rebounds, defends, passes, and does it with terrifying consistency. His improvement curve looks like a vertical line. From pick 15 to face of the league, that's not just a great pick. That's grand theft dominance. Larry Bird was drafted outside the top 5. Not bad, but not viewed as a sure thing all-time great. Then he stepped into the league and immediately turned Boston into a title contender. Rookie of the Year, 3-time MVP, 3 championships, countless clutch moments, all-time efficiency. His passing, shooting, leadership, and intensity made him the heart of one of the greatest teams ever. The pick wasn't low, but the return? Historic. For what Boston spent, they got a top 5 player of all time. Each of these players blew past the ceiling that comes with their draft slot. Some were gambles, some were just underestimates. All of them delivered at a level that altered franchises, shifted eras, and filled trophy cases. From the second round to mid-lottery, every one of these picks belongs in the Hall of Draft. Lonzo Ball. His career's been a case study in instability, and the numbers don't hide it. Availability alone tells a wild story. He played 52 games as a rookie, then 47, then 63, then 55. After that, things shifted hard. 35 games, then 0, another 0, then 35 again. Since 2021, they've only gotten 70 total games from him across multiple seasons. That includes major knee procedures and 2 full missed years. That's not a small gap, that's a structural reset. Shooting swings make it even clearer. Field goal percentage opened at 36%, climbed into the low 40s, peaked at 42.3%, then later dropped all the way to 30.1%. That's a 12-point swing across seasons. From deep, he moved from around 31% early on to 42.3% at his peak, then dipped below 30% on high volume later. That kind of fluctuation changes spacing, lineups, everything. Scoring followed the same pattern, 14.6 points per game at one peak, 13 in another stretch, then 7.6, then 4.6. Assists slid from 7.2 to 3.3. Minutes fell from 34.6 to 20.8. True shooting once hit 55.1%, then later dropped to 43.4%. Even shot distribution shifted, with 80% of attempts coming from 3 at one stage despite low accuracy. Add in changing mechanics and evolving roles, and it's clear. Production, efficiency, availability, identity. Nothing stayed steady, Julius Randle. His career is a blueprint for high usage volatility. The raw averages sit at 19.3 points, 9.0 rebounds, and 3.9 assists across 12 seasons. But the year-to-year swings are impossible to ignore. In the 2020 to 2021 season, he jumped to 24.1 points and 10.2 rebounds, powered a 4th seed finish, and won Most Improved Player. The very next season saw a clear statistical regression. That drop-off wasn't subtle. It was measurable. All-star level production hasn't been permanent. He's earned 3 all-star selections, yet other seasons fell well below that threshold. One year, he posted 24.0 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 5.0 assists. In Minnesota, that dipped to 18.7 points and 7.1 rebounds. That's more than a 5-point scoring decline across seasons. The postseason adds another layer. Career playoff averages show 19.4 points, but during one peak regular season, he averaged over 24. In the 2021 playoffs, his shooting dropped to 29.8%. In another postseason run, it sat at 37.1%. Those are steep efficiency declines compared to regular season levels. Role has shifted too. He's been a primary scorer, then a complementary piece. Assist numbers have climbed as high as 6.2 in stretches, well above his career norm. Game-to-game production has swung from 30-point outings to 11 the next night. Usage climbs above 30 minutes. Scoring rises to 24.5. Lower usage, numbers settle back near 19. That fluctuation defines the profile. DeMarcus Cousins. His career shows one of the sharpest statistical swings of the modern era. The overall numbers look dominant at first glance. 19.6 points, 10.2 rebounds, and 3.0 assists across 654 games. That's all-star level production on paper. But the season-to-season shifts tell a different story. At his peak in the 2015 to 2016 season, he averaged 26.9 points and 11.5 rebounds. Later in New Orleans before injury, he posted 25.2 points, 12.9 rebounds, and 5.4 assists with strong defensive numbers. That's rare output for a center. Then the injuries hit: an Achilles tear in 2018, an ACL tear in 2019. After that, the production never returned to that tier. He moved from franchise centerpiece to rotational big. Minutes dropped, usage dropped. By 2022, he was signing multiple 10-day contracts. That's a dramatic structural shift from multi-time all-star to short-term depth option. Even within limited roles, volatility stayed present. During a Denver stint, he scored 31 points in just 24 minutes, the fewest minutes for a 30-point game in that franchise's history. Flash dominance, limited opportunity. Team context shifted constantly too. 7 different teams, early Sacramento years, produced elite stats. Yet the 2016 to 2017 Kings finished 32-50. The arc is clear: ascending star, statistical peak, major injury collapse, reduced role, international production spike with 20.4 points in Puerto Rico, followed by another disruption. Health, role, production, stability. Everything moved. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, Lance Stevenson. The stat sheet doesn't tell one steady story. It tells several different ones stitched together. Across 554 games, the career line reads 8.6 points, 4.1 rebounds, and 2.9 assists. That's the long-term average. The year-to-year reality moved far beyond that. In the 2013 to 2014 season with Indiana, he produced 13.8 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 4.6 assists, while logging 35.3 minutes a night. One season later in Charlotte, scoring slid to 8.2 points, and field goal percentage dropped to 37.6%. That's a sharp scoring dip, paired with a clear efficiency fall, all within a one-year shift. Production also changed dramatically, depending on uniform. During a stint with Memphis, he averaged 14.2 points per game. That same season with the Clippers, it dropped to 4.7, nearly a double-digit swing without a multi-year gap in between. Minutes mirrored that instability, ranging from over 35 per night at his peak to 11.2 in a later role. Opportunity changed, and the numbers followed. Perimeter shooting varied just as widely. 3-point percentage moved from 35.2% to 17.1%, later climbing above 40% before hitting 0% in a brief stretch. Even game-level output shifted sharply, including a 25-point performance after a 6-game run averaging 4.3. Different roles, different minutes, different results. Andre Drummond. Start at the high end, and the contrast becomes obvious. In the 2018 to 2019 season, he produced 17.3 points and 15.6 rebounds while playing more than 32 minutes a night. That included a league-leading 16.0 rebounds per game in an earlier peak stretch. That's dominant interior volume. Fast forward to the 2025 to 2026 season, and the line reads 6.8 points and 8.7 rebounds. Same player, entirely different scale of impact. That's a double-digit scoring drop and nearly 7 rebounds, separating peak production from a later role. The long-term average settles at 12.2 points and 12.0 rebounds across nearly 1,000 games, but the path between those numbers hasn't been smooth. Early in his career, he signed a 5-year, $130 million contract as a franchise anchor. Later, he agreed to a 2-year, $6.6 million deal in Chicago as a veteran. Reserve option. That contract swing mirrors the statistical shift. Minutes tell the same story. Starter workloads above 32 minutes created double-double consistency. Reduced role under 20 minutes produced 8.9 points and 10.8 rebounds. In one starting stretch, then 5.2 points and 6.8 rebounds off the bench in another. Efficiency moved too. Field goal percentage began at 60.8% as a rookie before settling closer to 50% in later seasons. Free throw shooting has stayed below 50% for his career, limiting late game reliability. Peak dominance, rotational usage, shifting value. The numbers changed with the role. D'Angelo Russell. In the 2018 to 2019 season with Brooklyn, he averaged 21.1 points and 7.0 assists, reaching all-star level production. A few seasons later, the scoring line shifted to 12.6 points. The following year, it dropped again to 10.2. That's nearly an 11-point gap between his high point and later output. Workload has played a direct role in those swings. In the 2023 to 2024 season, he logged 32.7 minutes per game and averaged 18.0 points. In a reduced 19-minute role, scoring settled at 10.2. A 13-minute decline translated into almost 8 fewer points on the scoreboard. Efficiency has moved just as noticeably. Career field goal percentage sits at 42.7%, but individual seasons have ranged from 46.5% down to 39.0%. Three-point accuracy has climbed as high as 41.5% before sliding to 29.5%. That's a 12% swing from perimeter strength to inconsistency. Postseason production shows another dip. Playoff averages stand at 14.2 points on 38.8% shooting, below his regular season mark. Even in play, in settings, output has ranged from 29 points in one appearance to just 2 in another. Scoring level, efficiency, minutes, and role have all shifted repeatedly throughout his career trajectory. J.R. Smith. His 16-season career shows one of the widest fluctuation bands for a perimeter scorer. The baseline sits at 12.4 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 2.1 assists on 41.9% shooting and 37.3% from 3. That's the career average across 977 games. The seasonal swings were far more dramatic. In the 2012 to 2013 season, he jumped to 18.1 points and 5.3 rebounds while playing 33.5 minutes, earning 6th Man of the Year. That's nearly a 6-point scoring increase over his career norm. Other seasons dropped far below it, including 8.6 points, 6.7 points, and eventually 2.8 points in limited late career minutes. That's over a 15-point scoring variance from peak to final stretch. Field goal percentage ranged from 46.1% in one season to 31.8% in another. Three-point shooting varied from above 40% to 9.1% during a brief stint. That's a swing of more than 30 percentage points from peak spacing to near non-functional output. Minutes shifted from 33.5 per game at his height to just 13.2 later on. He moved between starter, 6-man, and reserve roles across 5 teams. Volume remained high enough to rank 25th all-time in three-pointers made, yet efficiency fluctuated sharply. Scoring bursts, efficiency dips, role changes, and minute swings define the statistical profile. Andrew Wiggins. For nearly a decade, his scoring floor barely moved. He consistently hovered above 16.9 points per game, building a reputation for steady volume. Then the shift came. In the 2019 to 2020 season, he reached 21.8 points, By the 2023 to 2024 season, that figure dropped to 13.2. That's an 8.6 point decline from a previous high and his first major statistical fall after years of relative stability. The long-term averages settle at 18.3 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.3 assists. But those numbers smooth over the swings underneath. In the 2021 to 2022 season, he logged 31.9 minutes and averaged 17.2 points. 2 seasons later, minutes decreased to 27 and scoring slid to 13.2. A reduction of just under 5 minutes coincided with a 4-point scoring drop. Role adjustments contributed as well. In Minnesota, he operated as a primary option, producing multiple 20-plus point seasons, including a 22.4 peak. In Golden State, his scoring adjusted downward into the 17-point range as responsibilities shifted. During one split season, he averaged 17.6 points with one team and 19.0 after a change in environment. Postseason output has ranged from 16.5 points in one run to 11.5 in another. Shooting efficiency has also moved by several percentage points across seasons. The production hasn't followed a straight line. Jamal Crawford, 20 seasons, 1,327 games, and a career average of 14.6 points with 41.0% shooting. That's the long view. The individual spikes tell a different story. He captured 3 Sixth Man of the Year awards, including a 2014 season where he averaged 18.6 points off the bench on 41.6% shooting. That's 4 full points, above his career scoring baseline in a reserve role. Yet across 2 decades, he never averaged 20 points in a season. Single game production reached historic territory. At age 39, he became the oldest player to score 50-plus points in a game. He's also the only player to record 50-point performances with 4 different franchises, including a 51-point night as a reserve. Those are extreme scoring highs compared to a steady mid-teen career average. Roles shifted repeatedly across 9 teams. He started in some seasons, functioned as a primary bench scorer in others, and later moved into reduced usage roles. Minutes and responsibility changed depending on roster context. Efficiency fluctuated alongside volume. Career field goal percentage settled at 41.0%, while 3-point shooting averaged 34.8%. Free throw accuracy remained strong at 86.2%. Yet overall shot selection and volume created uneven efficiency stretches. Over nearly 39,000 minutes, his cumulative plus-minus reached negative 1,252. Award-winning seasons, historic scoring bursts, moderate long-term averages, and shifting impact all coexisted within the same career arc. Jordan Clarkson. The long-term numbers read 15.8 points, 3.3 rebounds, and 2.9 assists. That's the career baseline across 12 seasons. The yearly highs and lows move well beyond that line. In the 2022 to 2023 season, he reached 20.8 points and 4.4 assists while handling starter minutes. That's a 5-point jump above his career scoring norm. Not long after, scoring settled at 16.2 points, and in a later reduced role, it dipped to 9.9. That's nearly an 11-point swing depending on usage and lineup position. Minutes have directly shaped production. During a 32-point, 6-minute workload, he produced over 20 points per game. In a 20-minute role, output fell below 10. A 12-minute reduction translated to nearly 11 fewer points. Efficiency has shifted as well. Field goal percentage climbed to 44.4% in one peak season before dropping to 40.8% in a later stretch. 3-point accuracy has ranged from 36.8% down to 31.2%. Those percentage swings may look small, but on high volume attempts, they meaningfully change scoring totals. Game level volatility stands out too. A 25-point outing has been followed by a 3-point performance within the same season. Over time, he's produced 20-plus point campaigns, mid-teen averages, and sub-10-point stretches. Role, minutes, and efficiency have repeatedly altered the statistical output. Jordan Poole. Few players have seen their production shift as dramatically within such short windows. In the 2022 to 2023 season, he averaged 20.4 points overall, but when starting, that number climbed to 24.6. Once the postseason arrived, minutes dropped from 30.0 to 21.8, and scoring fell to 10.3. That's nearly a 50% scoring decrease inside the same year. Efficiency followed the same pattern. During that playoff stretch, he shot 34.1% from the field and 25.4% from 3. both significant drops from regular season level. Season-to-season numbers have also moved sharply. In the 20-25 to 20-26 season, he averaged 14.0 points on 37.2% shooting. In a previous stretch, he cleared 21 points per game. That's a 7-point swing across adjacent seasons. Game-level output shows even wider gaps. Over a recent 20-game sample, he averaged 12.2 points. Yet within that span, recorded 26-point games and 1-point games. That's a 25-point fluctuation night to night. Advanced metrics have shifted too. True shooting moved from 59.8% in one season to 52.9% in another. Offensive impact ratings have ranged from positive territory to negative game distributions in over 1/3 of appearances. Starter, bench scorer, primary guard, secondary option. The numbers have changed with each role and phase. Dennis Schroeder, the career averages settle at 13.9 points, 4.9 assists, and 2.9 rebounds. That's the long-term line. The individual seasons around it have moved in very different directions. In the 2017 to 2018 season with Atlanta, he produced 19.4 points and 6.2 assists in a primary role. That's a 5.5 scoring jump above his career baseline. Not long after, in Oklahoma City, scoring declined to 15.5 points despite comparable playing time. The usage shifted and the numbers followed. Role changes have consistently altered output. During his sixth-man season in Oklahoma City, he averaged 18.9 points off the bench. Later, in a starting role with the Lakers, scoring settled at 15.4 points with 5.8 assists. In that same postseason run, assists dropped to 2.8 per game, more than a 50% decline from regular season distribution. Team movement adds another layer. Across 13 seasons, he's played for 11 franchises. In one stretch with Brooklyn, he averaged 18.4 points and 6.6 assists. In another stop during the same broader window, scoring fell to 12.8 points with 5.3 assists. That's nearly a 6-point swing within a short span. Minutes correlate closely with production. Starter workloads above 31 minutes produced, scoring near 18 points. Reduced bench minutes closer to 26 resulted in 12-point range output. Shooting percentages have hovered in the low 40s, with year-to-year movement of several percentage points. Role, system, and opportunity have repeatedly reshaped the stat line. Josh Smith. The numbers across 13 seasons don't move in a straight line. The career averages land at 14.5 points, 7.4 rebounds, 3.1 assists, and 1.9 blocks. Inside those totals sits a wide scoring range. As a rookie in Atlanta, he averaged 9.7 points. At his peak, in the 2011 to 2012 season, scoring climbed to 18.8. In his final NBA stint, that number dropped to 0.7. That's nearly an 18-point swing from high to low across his career arc. Efficiency fluctuated sharply as well. Field goal percentage reached 50.5% in one season, fell to 41.9% in another, and later dropped to 25% during a brief late stop. That's more than a 25 percentage point gap. From three-point range, he shot 28.5% for his career across 1,578 attempts, consistently below league norms. Shot distribution played a role. During his Atlanta years, 32% of his attempts came from 10 feet out to the three-point line, where he converted only 33%. That equated to 0.66 points per shot in that zone. Minutes also shifted dramatically, from 35.5 per game at his peak to just 4.0 later on. He moved from franchise anchor in Atlanta to high-usage forward in Detroit, then to rotational roles in Houston, the Clippers, and New Orleans. Defensively, he recorded 1,713 career blocks and earned all defensive second-team honors. Offensively, efficiency and role fluctuated repeatedly throughout his career. Tim Hardaway Jr. Volume has rarely been the issue. Stability has. Across 867 games, the career averages settle at 13.7 points on 41.9% shooting and 36.4% from three. Those numbers sit in the middle. The swings around them are noticeable. In the 2023 to 2024 season, he averaged 14.4 points. The following year, that dropped to 11.0. That's a 3.4 point decline, despite similar opportunity. Minutes hovered around 28 per game, yet scoring fell below his career norm. Three-point volume has stayed high, including seasons with more than 200 made threes, such as 212 in the 2022 to 2023 campaign. Efficiency, however, has moved. One stretch reached 40.9% from three. Another season in Detroit registered 36.8%. That's a 4% gap. While attempts remain steady, postseason production has shown even sharper contrast. During a finals run, regular season scoring sat at 14.4 points. In the playoffs, it dropped to 4.4. He scored more than 10 points in only 2 of 22 postseason games that year, a 10-point decrease from regular season output. Single-game spikes also stand out. A 32-point performance came in a season where his average was 11.0. Same player, same year. Nearly triple the baseline in one outing. Starter, sixth man, spot-up wing. The role has shifted. The shooting volume remains. The results have fluctuated. Hassan Whiteside. The career averages were at 12.6 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks. Those totals span 10 NBA seasons. Inside that window sit extreme highs and sharp reduction. In the 2015 to 2016 season, he led the league with 3.68 blocks per game. The following year, he led the league in rebounding at 14.1 per game. Those are league-leading figures compared to his overall career averages, which are several points lower in both categories. Minutes have played a major role in the swings. During his Miami peak, he logged over 29 minutes per game and produced 11.8 rebounds with 3.7 blocks in one stretch. Later, in Utah, during the 2021 to 2022 season, minutes fell to 17.9 per game with 8.2 rebounds and 1.6 blocks. Reduced opportunity translated directly to reduced output. Availability early in his career was unstable. He played one game in the 2010 to 2011 season and 18 the following year before leaving the league and returning later for a breakout in Miami. That return included double-digit scoring and rebounding in limited minutes, along with multiple triple-doubles built around blocks. Game-level production reached 12 blocks in a single contest, yet playoff averages declined to 7.3 points and 7.9 rebounds. Across Sacramento, Miami, Portland, and Utah, his role shifted from reserve to defensive anchor to backup again. League-leading seasons and moderate stretches existed within the same career arc. R.J. Barrett. The scoring line across his career sits at 18.8 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 3.3 assists. That's the blended average over 7 seasons. The yearly outputs around it haven't stayed fixed. As a rookie, he averaged 14.3 points on 40.2% shooting. 2 seasons later, he reached 20.0 points. That's a 5.7 increase from year 1 to an early peak. The following seasons moved again, with 17.6, then 19.6, then 18.2, before climbing to 21.8 during a Toronto split. Within that stretch alone, scoring has swung nearly 4 points in either direction. Efficiency has shifted even more dramatically. Field goal percentage rose from 40.2% as a rookie to 44.1% in one season, dipped to 40.8% the next year, then jumped to 55.3% in Toronto. That's a 15% swing between seasons. Three-point shooting has ranged from 32% to 40.1%, later dropping near 31% before climbing close to 39%. Late season surges have also altered full year perception. In one campaign, he averaged 23.7 points over the final 40 games, compared to 20.0 for the full season. Playoff scoring has ranged from 14.4 points in one run to 19.3 in another. Minutes have remained consistently high, yet production and efficiency have shifted across roles and team context. Montrezl Harrell. Look at the extremes first. In the 2019 to 2020 season, he averaged 18.6 points and 7.1 rebounds in under 28 minutes a night. Earlier in his career, he logged 9.7 minutes and scored 3.6 points as a rookie. Later in Philadelphia, that number settled at 5.6 points in 11.9 minutes. That's a 13-point scoring gap between peak and reduced role seasons. The career average lands at 12.1 points and 5.0 rebounds. But that midpoint hides sharp swings and opportunity. Minutes have ranged from under 10 per game to nearly 28. Production rose directly with expanded usage and dropped when the role contracted. Postseason output shifted again. Regular season scoring sits above 12 points per game, while playoff scoring fell to 8.7 with 2.8 rebounds. That's a clear decline in impact when rotations tightened. Single game. Production has also stretched the range. He's recorded 34-point performances, yet large portions of his career featured single-digit scoring in limited minutes. Across 515 games, he started only 36 times, Despite multiple seasons of starter-level scoring volume, team context played a measurable role. After roster changes created more interior opportunities in one season, his scoring climbed above 16 points per game. In later environments with established front-court starters, his minutes and usage dropped sharply. The skill set remained interior-focused and energy-driven. The statistical output moved dramatically, depending on role, team structure, and postseason context. Terrence Ross, the long-term average, lands at 11.0 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 1.3 assists across 733 games. That number sits in the middle of wide swings above and below it. In the 2018 to 2019 season, he scored 15.1 points per game. 2 seasons later, that dropped to 10.0. Earlier in his career, he averaged just 6.4 points as a rookie. From rookie year to peak, that's nearly a 9-point rise. From peak to later regression, it's a 5-point drop. Minutes tell part of the story. During the 2020 to 2021 season, he played 29.3 minutes and averaged 15.6 points. In the 2022 to 2023 season, minutes fell to 21.1 and scoring declined to 8.3. An 8-minute reduction paired with more than 7 fewer points. Shooting percentages have also shifted. Career field goal percentage sits at 41.8%, but individual seasons have ranged from 39.7 to 43.1. Three-point accuracy has moved from 38.3% in one season down to 29.2% in another, a 9% gap. Postseason output has varied sharply as well. One playoff run produced 16.4 points per game. Another registered 5.0. A later stint dropped to 3.7. Starter, bench scorer, limited role reserve. The scoring output has changed with each context. Nick Young, start with the wide range before looking at the average. Over 720 games, he posted 11.4 points per game in 22.8 minutes. In his highest scoring seasons, that number jumped well above the baseline. During the 2010 to 2011 season, he averaged 17.4 points in over 31 minutes. In the 2013 to 2014 season with the Lakers, he reached 17.9 points in 28.3 minutes. A few years later, scoring dropped to 7.3 points in 19.1 minutes and eventually to 2.3 points in 9.3 minutes. That's more than a 15-point swing from peak to final season output. The year-to-year pattern shifted repeatedly. 17.4, 16.6, 10.6, 17.9, 7.3, 13.2, 7.3, 2.3. The movement didn't follow a steady progression. Efficiency moved with it. Field goal percentage ranged from 44.4% in one season down to 33.9% in another before rebounding to 43.0%. Three-point shooting fluctuated between 40.6%, 35.7%, 32.5%, and back above 40%. Role adjusted frequently across Washington, the Clippers, Philadelphia, the Lakers, Golden State, and Denver. Starts dropped from 60 in one season to 8 the next year. A 43-point career high contrasts with a 4.2 playoff average. Scoring, minutes, and efficiency never stabilized for long. O.J. Mayo, the highest scoring season of his career came immediately. As a rookie, he averaged 18.5 points per game. By his third season, that number had fallen to 11.3. That's a 7.2 drop within 3 years, while minutes declined from 38 per game to 26. The scoring decrease outpaced the reduction in playing time. Across 8 NBA seasons and 547 games, his career average settled at 13.8 points, 3.1 rebounds, and 2.9 assists. That baseline sits almost 5 points below his rookie output. Role changes altered production quickly. In Memphis, during a bench transition season, he averaged 11.3 points. After moving to Dallas and returning to a starter role, scoring rose to 15.3 points with 4.4 assists in 35.5 minutes. The following season in Milwaukee dropped by roughly 10 per game. Efficiency also shifted. Field goal percentage reached 45.8% in his second season before falling to 40.7% the next year. Three-point shooting ranged from 38.4% as a rookie to 40.7% in Dallas, with mid-30% seasons in between. His rookie year included 7 games of 30 or more points, yet the long-term scoring average remained in the mid-teens. After Milwaukee, production dipped further, and in 2016, he received a 2-year suspension that effectively ended his NBA run at age 28. Danilo Gallinari, the middle line of his career, reached 14.9 points and 4.7 rebounds across 777 games. The edges of that career look very different. In the 2015 to 2016 season, he averaged 19.5 points in 34.7 minutes. The following year, he remained above 18-point game. Years later, in the 2023 to 2024 season, scoring fell to 5.7 points in under 13 minutes, including a stretch at 2.8 points with Milwaukee. That's nearly a 14-point swing from peak to late career output. Availability shaped the arc as much as scoring did. He missed the entire 2013 to 2014 season due to an ACL tear and again missed the entire 2022 to 2023 season for the same injury. He has not reached 70 games in a season since 2012 to 2013. Several productive seasons were paired with fewer than 65 appearances. Efficiency fluctuates alongside role. Career field goal percentage sits at 42.8%, with individual seasons ranging from 44.7% down to 37.8%. Three-point shooting has averaged 38.1% for his career, yet late career stretches dropped as low as 17.6% in limited minutes. Across 14 seasons and 8 teams, he shifted from primary scoring option in Denver to floor spacer in Los Angeles to reserve roles late. A 47-point career, high contrast with extended injury absences and reduced production phases. Michigan scandal. The trouble started with Ed Martin, a retired Ford electrician who ran an illegal gambling ring in Detroit and used the profits to hand out loads of cash to Michigan basketball players and prospects. It wasn't some random act of generosity. The payments were part of a larger scheme to hide money from his gambling operation, and when Maurice Taylor got in a car accident, the whole thing started unraveling. Chris Webber was at the center of it all. Prosecutors said he got close to $280,000 before even finishing his sophomore year. Add in Maurice Taylor, Robert Traylor, and Louis Bhullar, and the total hit about $616,000. Martin got hit with federal charges for conspiracy, money laundering, and illegal gambling. He pleaded guilty. Webber denied everything at first, then pleaded guilty too, not for taking the money, but for lying about it. He had to repay $38,000 and do community service. Michigan tried to save face with their own investigation. They talked to over 50 people, looked through records, and eventually hit themselves with penalties. That meant forfeiting entire seasons from 1992 through 1999, tearing down banners, giving back nearly $450,000, and missing out on tournaments. The NCAA piled on with 4 years of probation, fewer scholarships, and a 10-year ban on associating with the players involved. Even head coach Steve Fisher got the boot, though he wasn't found directly guilty of recruiting violations. Michigan's record books got torched. A decade without the NCAA tournament followed. This was one of college basketball's biggest scandals, and it left the program in pieces for years. USC scandal. O.J. Mayo's single season at USC wasn't just hyped. It ended up unraveling a major NCAA mess. He was connected early on with Rodney Guillory, a basketball promoter flagged by the NCAA for past violation. Guillory wasn't just hanging around. He reportedly got $250,000 from a sports agency, with at least $30,000 going straight to Mayo. That money helped pay for clothes, shoes, phone service, meals, a flat-screen television, and even trainers. Guillory drove a $50,000 SUV, all while acting as Mayo's advisor. His nonprofit picked up the phone bills, and the NCAA cited lodging, transportation, and more. It wasn't subtle. Then came the claims that head coach Tim Floyd handed Guillory $1,000 in cash at a Beverly Hills cafe. Floyd denied it, and the NCAA didn't confirm that payment. But they did point out the staff knew about Guillory's shady past. That alone dragged USC deeper into trouble. When the NCAA wrapped things up, they ruled Mayo had lost his amateur status before even playing a game. Every win from that season? Wiped. 21 total. USC skipped postseason play the next year, dropped scholarships, and tightened recruiting. The program got slapped with a 4-year probation and was officially tagged with a lack of institutional control. Guillory sued for defamation, demanding $25 million, but the courts tossed it. He claimed it was all mentorship, but the paper trail said otherwise. Mayo left for the NBA and went 3rd overall in the 2008 draft. But USC's reputation didn't bounce back nearly as fast. The scandal became part of a growing national spotlight on recruiting violations and the shaky line between amateurism and big business in college sports. Syracuse scandal. The NCAA spent years digging into Syracuse athletics, And when the final report dropped in March 2015, the findings were brutal. The violations stretched back over a decade and hit both basketball and football, but men's basketball took the biggest blow. It started with extra benefits. A local booster tied to the Oneida YMCA gave players more than $8,000, rides, and shady jobs that padded paychecks without real work. YMCA staff even faked internship hours so players could get academic credit they hadn't earned. Then came the academic mess. Staff accessed student email accounts, talked to professors, and pulled strings to keep players eligible. Fab Melo's eligibility issues in 2012 kicked up more red flags. His grade, changes in coursework, were part of what the NCAA called improper academic assistance. The defense didn't hold up either. Syracuse didn't follow drug testing policies. And the NCAA said Coach Jim Boeheim didn't promote a culture of compliance or monitor his staff properly. 5 players, including Terrence Roberts, Dion Waiters, and Fab Melo, were tied to ineligible participation. Syracuse self-imposed a postseason ban for the 2014-15 season, hoping to soften the blow. The NCAA responded by stripping 101 wins from Boeheim's record, placing the program on 5 years probation and cutting scholarships. Boeheim got a 9-game suspension, served during non-conference play. Recruiting was limited, and the school paid $500 per game for each ineligible player's appearance. Appeals trimmed the scholarship cuts and gave back some tournament revenue, but the wins stayed gone. Boeheim's win total took a major hit, changing his place in Division I's coaching history. The 2012 Final Four run stayed mostly intact, but the stain on the era never really faded. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, SMU scandal. In 2015, SMU men's basketball landed in NCAA hot water after an investigation uncovered academic fraud and a lack of control from the top down. The core violation involved a former staffer who used a player's login to complete online coursework, making that player ineligible. The problem? That player still competed. And while head coach Larry Brown didn't directly order the fraud, the NCAA found he failed to report it when he learned what happened. Worse, they said he wasn't fully honest during the investigation. As punishment, SMU got hit with a postseason ban for 2016. That wiped out their shot at both the American Athletic Conference tournament and the NCAA tournament. Even though the team was strong that year, Brown himself got slapped with a 9-game suspension to start the 2015-16 season. The NCAA said he didn't do enough to promote a culture of compliance and penalized him for how he handled the situation once he found out. The NCAA also gave the program 3 years of probation through late 2018. SMU lost 9 scholarships over 3 seasons, though they got credit for ones already self-imposed. Wins from the 2013-14 season, where the ineligible player took the court, were vacated. On top of that, SMU had to deal with recruiting restrictions, fewer off-campus visits, and fewer unofficial visit opportunities. The penalties were officially announced on September 29, 2015. Even after a stellar regular season with 25 wins and 5 losses, SMU couldn't go anywhere in the postseason. By July 2016, Larry Brown stepped down as head coach, leaving behind a strong team but a stained stretch in the program's record. St. Bonaventure scandal. During the 2002-3 season, the Bonnies made a huge eligibility mistake by allowing junior college transfer Jamil Terrell to play without meeting NCAA academic requirement. He hadn't earned an associate degree, which meant he should have sat out a year, but that didn't happen. The athletic director flagged the issue to university president Robert Wickenheiser, but instead of following the rules, Wickenheiser cleared Terrell to play, reportedly under pressure from his son, Court Wickenheiser, who just happened to be on the coaching staff. They didn't even bother getting official NCAA guidance until the season was nearly done. When the truth came out, the consequences were immediate. St. Bonaventure had to forfeit every game Terrell played in, including 6 conference wins. They were kicked out of the Atlantic 10 tournament. The players, furious over how it was handled, refused to suit up for the final 2 regular season games. Fallout came fast. Head coach Jan Van Breda Kolff was forced out. Athletic director Gothard Lane got axed. President Wickenheiser resigned. Then tragedy struck. William Swan, the board chairman, died by suicide that August, citing shame for not preventing the scandal. The school tried damage control by giving up 3 scholarships across 2 seasons and cooperating fully. The NCAA still slapped the program with 3 years of probation and banned them from postseason play for the 2003-04 season. The Bonnies didn't post another winning season until 2010-11 under Mark Schmidt. That one eligibility misstep sent the program into a deep spiral. Scholarships lost, leadership gone, postseason erased. The damage was done, and it took years to recover. That scandal hit hard, both on the court and far beyond it. Texas Tech scandal. Back in the mid-90s, the Red Raiders ran straight into NCAA trouble after it was discovered that players competed while academically ineligible. A grade of D was wrongly used to clear 2 athletes, including Frederick Jones and Grayson Averill, during the 1996-97 season. That mistake was just the tip of the iceberg. From 1990 through 1997, the NCAA found violations across 9 different sports at Texas Tech. Over 70 student athletes played while ineligible. The problems? Too many scholarships, academic shortcuts, and a full-on breakdown in compliance oversight. As punishment, Texas Tech pulled out of the 1997 NCAA tournament and gave up all 11 Big 12 wins from that season. They also had to vacate their 1996 tournament run and lost 7 basketball scholarships over 3 years. The athletics department got hit with 4 years of probation and had to overhaul its compliance systems. All of that left a crater. The basketball program struggled through the late 90s and couldn't climb back up. Head coach James Dickey was let go after the 2000 season. When Bob Knight showed up in March 2001, the program was still in cleanup mode. Knight brought controversy, but no major NCAA penalties. He clashed with administrators, but didn't rack up recruiting violations or player benefit scandals. Later on, Billy Gillispie got flagged for minor practice limit violations, which Tech self-reported and handled internally. No tournament bans, no vacated seasons, and no major hits after the 90s. But those earlier violations stuck around like an anchor. The scholarship losses and reputation damage set the program back. And it took years before Texas Tech looked competitive again on the national stage. Arizona State scandal. In 1994, Arizona State got dragged into one of college basketball's biggest point-shaving messes. It started with Benny Silman, a campus bookie who roped players into fixing games so gamblers could cash in on bets. His main recruit, Stephen Hedeke Smith, a star guard who owed Silman around $10,000 in gambling debt. Smith, along with teammate Isaac Burton, agreed to manipulate the score margins so the team wouldn't cover the spread. They weren't throwing games entirely, just controlling the outcomes enough to make the bets hit. Smith got about $20,000 for just one of those games. They altered 4 games that season, with suspicious betting patterns popping up in Vegas sportsbooks. Big bets kept hitting against Arizona State, and that's what tipped off the feds. The FBI stepped in, and by 1997, both Smith and Burton pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit sports bribery. Smith landed a 1-year prison sentence and never made the NBA. Burton served about 2 months in jail and some home detention. Silman, who ran the entire operation, got over 3 years in federal prison. The financial side was massive. Gamblers put down hundreds of thousands on these games, all based on insider knowledge. While the NCAA didn't strip Arizona State of the games, the scandal tarnished the program for years. The university tightened compliance, but the damage was already done. This wasn't just a violation of NCAA rules. It was a federal crime. That's what made the Arizona State scandal stand out. Real money, real jail time, and a permanent black mark on the college basketball record books. Southwestern Louisiana scandal. In the early 1970s, the University of Southwestern Louisiana, now Louisiana at Lafayette, became the face of one of the harshest NCAA punishments ever handed down in college basketball history. The program was shut down for 2 full seasons. It started with more than 100 violations. A coach forged a recruit's high school transcript and even faked a principal's signature to make an ineligible player appear eligible. Others took entrance exams for athletes. That was just the academic side. The NCAA also found that players received cash and gifts from boosters and coaches, which blew up the school's amateurism compliance. Improper recruiting and illegal benefits from outside parties were all over the report. These players shouldn't have been on the court. As a result, in August 1973, the NCAA hit the school with the death penalty. The basketball team couldn't compete in the 1973-74 and 1974-75 seasons. That made Southwestern Louisiana one of only a few programs in any sport to get completely shut down. The punishment didn't stop there. They were forced to vacate NCAA tournament appearances from 1972 and 1973. Their records were wiped, and the whole athletic department was put on probation. They also lost postseason eligibility, television access, and NCAA voting rights for years. The program was completely sidelined and didn't recover easily. Even after returning, the stigma stuck. This scandal remains a blueprint for what the NCAA considers an extreme case: forged transcripts, surrogate testing, illegal benefits. It all added up to one of the worst violations in college basketball, and the consequences were devastating. Boston College scandal. In the 1978 to 79 season, Boston College became the center of one of college basketball's wildest point-shaving schemes, not just because of the games, but because the mob got involved. It all started when two small-time gamblers, the Perla brothers, teamed up with Rick Kuhn, a senior forward on the Eagles. Kuhn had been friends with Rocco Perla since high school. The plan? Win games, but not by too much, just enough to miss the point. Spread? That's where the betting money came in. The operation brought in Henry Hill and James Burke, two organized crime figures, to handle the financial side and expand the betting. If Hill sounds familiar, it's because he later became the main source behind Goodfellas. This wasn't a small operation. They targeted specific games and loaded money into sportsbooks with the confidence that BC wouldn't cover. Kuhn brought in teammates. Jim Sweeney testified, but wasn't charged. Ernie Cobb got indicted, but he was acquitted. Payments ranged from $1,000 to $2,000 per game, and Hill claimed the group made close to $100,000 in profits. They botched their first attempt against Providence, but against Harvard, they made it work. BC won 86 to 83, perfect for the fix. It all unraveled when Hill, caught in a wider federal investigation, spilled the whole story. In court, Kuhn was sentenced to 10 years, later reduced. The Perla brothers and others were convicted. Burke got 12 years. The NCAA didn't hit the school with penalties, but the scandal became a blueprint for how organized crime could reach into college hoops. It wasn't just shady, it was criminal, and it made national headlines for years. Cincinnati scandal. Under Bob Huggins in the 1990s, Cincinnati basketball soared on the court but unraveled off it. In May 1998, the NCAA opened a formal investigation into the program, eventually slapping it with probation, scholarship losses, and recruiting restrictions for major violations. The investigation uncovered that staff gave impermissible academic help to transfer player Charles Williams, including going to classes and taking notes for him. That alone broke NCAA rules, but it didn't stop there. Players and recruits also got improper benefits like free meals, tickets, and travel, all clear violations. The NCAA found a lack of institutional control, citing the university's failure to properly oversee staff and operations. On November 6, 1998, Cincinnati got hit with 2 years of probation, lost 3 scholarships across 2 seasons, and had its recruiting efforts restricted. No postseason ban was issued, but the message was clear. The program was slipping, and the issues weren't just on paper. During Huggins' 16-year run, the team faced waves of off-court trouble. Multiple players were arrested for everything from domestic violence to bizarre incidents like assaulting a police horse. Staff members were implicated too. Some were put on leave as the investigation unfolded. Academic criticism mounted. Graduation rates were miserable, with one report showing just 27% of players earning degrees under Huggins. Some years saw 0%. Then came his DUI arrest in 2004, followed by a suspension. By 2005, with mounting pressure from a new university president focused on academics and compliance, Huggins was out. Cincinnati kept the wins, but paid a different price. A battered reputation and years of scrutiny. The sanctions didn't end their run, but they marked the cost of success built on shaky foundations. Tulane scandal. In the 1984 to 85 season, Tulane men's basketball got rocked by a point-shaving scandal that shut the whole program down. It started with students and local bettors offering players cash and cocaine to help manipulate game outcomes, not to lose outright, but to make sure Tulane didn't cover the spread. John Hot Rod Williams was at the center. Prosecutors said he took over $8,000 to shave points in games against Southern Mississippi, Memphis State, and Virginia Tech. Teammates David Dominique and Bobby Thompson were also arrested. Others like Clyde Eads and John Johnson got immunity to testify. In one game, Tulane was favored by 10.5 over Southern Mississippi and squeaked out a 64 to 63 win. Perfect for the Fixers. In another, they lost to Memphis State by more than expected, again delivering for the bettors. This wasn't just gambling. It involved drugs, cash handoffs, and fraternity ties. On March 26, 1985, multiple players were arrested. Williams' trial ended in a mistrial, and the charges were dropped, but his career was thrown into chaos. The fallout was brutal. Tulane's president disbanded the entire basketball program on April 4th, 1985. Coach Ned Fowler resigned, along with the athletic director. Tulane didn't play another game for 4 years. Though not an official NCAA death penalty, it had the same effect. The program was gutted. Recruiting stopped. Fans vanished. When they returned in 1989, it was basically a restart. The scandal blended drugs, gambling, and amateur athletics in a way that shook college basketball. No high-profile crime family here. Just a storm of bad decisions and ruined reputations that left Tulane basketball broken for years. Fresno State scandal. In the early 2000s, Fresno State men's basketball unraveled under a wave of academic fraud, eligibility issues, and NCAA violations that gutted the program's record and credibility. It started with a former team statistician writing coursework for at least 3 players during the 1999 to 2000 season, paid over $1,000 per player. An academic advisor was linked to organizing parts of the scheme. The school's internal review confirmed it. One player wasn't even enrolled full-time, but still got financial aid. Another was wrongly certified as eligible due to miscalculating academic progress. That meant players were on the court when they shouldn't have been, and that every win during those stretches was now on the chopping block. Outside the classroom, things weren't any cleaner. Players got free meals and favors from boosters and restaurant owners. These were improper benefits under NCAA rules, and the university's failure to monitor it all sealed the lack of institutional control label. Fresno State self-imposed a postseason ban and reduced scholarships. But that wasn't enough. In September 2003, the NCAA also extended probation to 4 years, forced the school to vacate wins from ineligible games, including the 2000 WAC title and NCAA appearance, and demanded 90% of tournament revenue be returned. 3 players, Courtney Alexander, Dennis Nathan, and Terrence Robertson, were named in connection to the academic fraud, though they denied some allegations. Head coach Ray Lopes later resigned amid unrelated recruiting violations and got a 3-year show-cause penalty. The fallout was brutal. Wins were erased, the postseason disappeared, and Fresno State's basketball reputation took a serious hit. The program was forced into full-on repair mode after one of the most damaging compliance failures in its history. 1951 scandal. This one didn't just rock a team, it rocked the entire sport. In 1951, the college basketball world was blown wide open when a massive point-shaving scandal was uncovered. Gamblers had been paying players across multiple major programs to control point spreads, so bets would cash. Teams didn't have to lose, just win by less. It all kicked off when Manhattan College player Junius Kellogg turned down a bribe and reported it. That sparked a full-blown investigation by New York authorities. What they found was stunning. Around 35 players from schools like City College of New York, Kentucky, LIU, Bradley, NYU, Toledo, and Manhattan had taken part. The fixes touched at least 86 games. CNY took the biggest fall. They just won both the NCAA and NIT titles in 1950, the only team ever to do it. Months later, players were arrested in Penn Station. The shine was gone. LIU shut down its basketball program for 6 years. Kentucky's former players were arrested too, and the program was frozen out of the SEC for a season. The scandal wasn't regional, it was everywhere. The bribes, they came from bookies and organized networks, especially around Madison Square Garden, where betting ran hot. Players shaved points for a few $100 here, maybe more. It didn't matter who won, it mattered how. The fallout hit hard. Players were banned from the NBA. Bookies were jailed. Public trust crumbled. CNY never recovered. They dropped out of Division I competition for decades. This scandal showed how deep gambling could go in college sports. It didn't just stain a season. It rewrote how college basketball handled corruption. New Mexico State scandal. The 2022 to 2023 season for New Mexico State was a complete collapse. What started with a struggling record quickly turned into one of the most damaging stretches in program history. It began when a player was involved in a shooting that left a University of New Mexico student dead. Prosecutors treated it as self-defense, but the situation led to game cancellations and raised serious concerns about player behavior and oversight. Then came the hazing allegations. By February, the university uncovered repeated incidents involving at least 3 players accused of sexually abusive hazing, targeting teammates and student managers. The reports led to an internal investigation and immediate suspension of the season. Coaching staff, including Greg Hiar, were placed on leave. A few days later, Hiar was fired. The university forfeited all remaining games, though the NCAA didn't count them in official records. That wasn't the end. 2 former players filed lawsuits claiming they were sexually assaulted. And in June, New Mexico State paid out around $8 million in settlements. No liability was admitted, but the numbers spoke volume. The New Mexico Department of Justice investigated and released a scathing report in December. It exposed a toxic culture inside the program, missed intervention opportunities, and weak policies that allowed abuse to persist. It also recommended over 30 changes to improve safety and accountability. In January, athletic director Mario Mochia was fired for his role in the leadership failures. The fallout was massive. Players charged, reputations ruined, and a once proud program left picking up the pieces. From lawsuits to firings, this wasn't just a scandal. It was a program reset under pressure from the highest levels of the state. Providence scandal. In April 2023, the situation around Allen Breed exploded into the headline. The Providence College junior guard was arrested and immediately suspended, following a disturbing off-campus incident that brought firearm and domestic violence charges into the spotlight. Police reports say Breed entered a woman's residence without permission, pointed a handgun at her, and took her phone. That wasn't all. He also allegedly vandalized property and drove off in someone else's vehicle without consent. The charges stacked up fast. Breed faced domestic breaking and entering in the first degree robbery, and misdemeanor domestic vandalism. On top of that came serious firearm charges, including carrying a pistol without a license and using it while committing a violent crime. Not surprisingly, Providence College wasted no time suspending him from all basketball activities while the case moved forward and the school conducted its own disciplinary review. Bail was set at $25,000. A no-contact order was issued, and he was required to surrender any firearm. The case headed toward a grand jury, and things got more complicated when the woman involved began to revise her original claims. She told the court she'd been intoxicated when making the first report, but prosecutors said they had evidence that could challenge her change of story. Before the arrest, Breed had been contributing regularly for the Friars, averaging just under 5 points a game. But once the charges came down, his basketball future got put on hold indefinitely. With legal proceedings underway and the school taking action fast, Breed's status stayed uncertain, and the entire situation cast a heavy shadow over the end of the Friars season. California scandal. Back in the mid-1990s, things unraveled fast for the Golden Bears. Todd Bozeman, who started out strong after taking over in 1993, got caught up in a serious mess that changed the program's course. Between 1994 and 1996, Bozeman paid out $30,000 in cash to Jelani Gardner's parent. He said it was to help them travel to see their son play. But under NCAA rules, that kind of benefit was totally off limit. It all came to light when Gardner's playing time dropped and he transferred. His parents reported the payments, triggering a full-blown investigation. Turns out Bozeman hadn't just made the payments, he'd also misled both the university and the NCAA about it, which made things worse. Cal got hit hard. The team had to forfeit 28 wins across 2 seasons and lose credit for its 1996 tournament appearance. Records were revised to show 0 wins one year and just 2 the next. The NCAA slapped Cal with 3 years of probation, banned them from postseason play in 1998, and took away 2 scholarships for 2 seasons. On top of that, the university had to give back almost all of the money it made from the 1996 tournament. And Bozeman, he got hit with an 8-year show cause order, one of the longest ever at the time, that basically locked him out of Division I coaching until 2005. Bozeman resigned in August 1996. The damage left Cal struggling to bounce back, especially with top recruits steering clear. The fallout stuck around long after the sanctions ended, and it took years before the Bears rebuilt their reputation. Seton Hall scandal. From 2016 through 2019, Seton Hall men's basketball landed in NCAA hot water over transfer tampering. Not benefits, not academic fraud, but straight up impermissible contact. The whole thing centered around forward Torian Thompson's transfer from Syracuse. While he was still enrolled there, Seton Hall's associate head coach went full speed ahead with roughly 243 phone calls to Thompson's mother. Yes, 240. And many of those came after Syracuse had explicitly denied permission to contact. That blew right past NCAA boundaries and landed as a level 2 violation. The associate head coach wasn't operating solo either. The head coach at the time was aware of some of the calls and didn't bother reporting them, which meant he failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance. And the NCAA doesn't take that lightly. The fallout came in November 2019. The program got hit with 3 years of probation, a scholarship reduction for the 2020 to 2021 season, and short recruiting communication bans across 2 seasons. They also had to pay a $5,000 fine plus 1% of the men's basketball budget. Coaches weren't off the hook. The head coach got a 2-game suspension, and the associate head coach was benched for 4 games and restricted in recruiting at his new job. There were also mandatory NCAA seminars and compliance system overhauls to prevent repeat offenses. No wins were vacated, and no postseason ban followed. But this was still a clear message. Push the rules on transfers, and you're going to feel it. Even if the infractions don't grab headlines like bigger scandals do. Washington scandal. Back in the 2002 to 2003 season, the Huskies ran into trouble not over cash, eligibility fraud, or pay for play, but from a wave of recruiting violations tied to impermissible contact. Lorenzo Romar had just taken over as head coach, and his assistant, Cameron Dollar, wasted no time pushing boundaries. Dollar made off-limits calls, attended restricted practices, and met with recruits during quiet and dead periods. Basically, he did the recruiting version of running a red light. Repeatedly, once it came to light, Washington self-reported the violations and handed down punishment. Dollar got suspended without pay for a month, had parts of his salary docked, and was banned from all off-campus recruiting through July of 2003. The coaching staff was also sent to mandatory NCAA compliance training and put on monthly reporting. The Pac-10 Conference didn't let it slide either. They issued a public reprimand and slapped the program with a year of conference probation. Washington coaches were also banned from certain AAU events and had limited contact with at least one recruit. On the NCAA level, the school was placed on 2 years of probation and lost 1 men's basketball scholarship. These violations didn't involve money, fraud, or anything rising to scandal of the decade level, but the NCAA still took it seriously. And while Romar's tenure stretched to 2017, no later recruiting violations in the 2010s led to sanctions. When Romar was fired, it had nothing to do with compliance. It was about poor results on the court. So while this early hiccup hit the program with real penalties, it never spiraled into the kind of drama seen at other schools during that era. Maryland scandal. The Terps found themselves under NCAA scrutiny in 2019 after a negotiated resolution revealed that a men's basketball staffer stepped over the line by giving coaching instructions to a recruit and participating in football film sessions, both off limits for someone in his position. That wasn't all. On the women's side, staff handed out personalized recruiting materials during unofficial visits, a clear violation of NCAA rules. The fallout brought a 1-year NCAA probation for both basketball programs. Maryland's men's team cut back on practice hours, and one assistant coach got hit with a 2-year show cause order. That meant extra oversight, rules education, and a giant compliance spotlight. Meanwhile, the women's program lost scholarships and had limits placed on recruiting visits. The athletic department beefed up its compliance procedures to avoid repeat mistakes. This wasn't the first time Maryland tangled with NCAA rules. Back in the late 1980s, under Coach Bob Wade, the program gave out improper benefits like free clothing and transportation. The NCAA responded with 3 years of probation, postseason bans, and the vacating of tournament results from 1988. Wade was forced out, and the damage lingered for years. Despite those past issues, no major NCAA academic fraud case hit the men's team in the 2000 era that led to vacated wins or postseason bans. Compliance problems stayed mostly in the recruiting and staff conduct lane, not eligibility or academics. When Maryland moved from the Atlantic Coast Conference to the Big Ten in 2014, it had to adjust to new standards, but no violations were tied directly to that shift. Still, the combination of past and present issues kept compliance efforts front and center at College Park. Indiana scandal. From 2006 to 2008, Indiana men's basketball was dragged into one of the most infamous recruiting cases of the decade. Kelvin Sampson, hired after serving penalties at Oklahoma, landed in hot water again almost immediately. An internal review showed he and his staff made over 111 impermissible calls to recruits, including 3-way calls that let Sampson sneak into conversations despite being restricted. Most of the excess calls came from assistant Rob Senderoff, who didn't properly log contact and used his personal phones to sidestep compliance. By October 2007, Indiana had self-reported the violations, docked a scholarship for the upcoming season, and imposed recruiting limits. But that didn't stop the storm. In February 2008, the NCAA delivered its notice. 5 major violations, including misleading investigators. Sampson and his staff were accused of violating recruiting restrictions and ethical conduct rules. The pressure mounted fast, and Sampson resigned with a $750,000 buyout just 9 days later. In November, the NCAA handed down final penalties. Indiana got 3 years of probation, confirming the self-imposed sanctions. But the hammer fell on Sampson. He received a 5-year show cause penalty, practically blacklisting him from NCAA coaching until 2013. This wasn't just about phone calls. It was about ignoring restrictions already in place and then trying to dodge responsibility. The fallout derailed Sampson's career and bruised Indiana's reputation. The program had to rebuild under intense scrutiny, while the scandal became a textbook example of how fast violations, even ones that seem small, can spiral when compliance gets ignored and accountability breaks down. Kentucky scandal. In 1988, the Wildcats were slammed with one of the biggest scandals in college basketball history. It all started when an envelope stuffed with $1,000 in cash was found at an air freight facility, addressed from a Kentucky assistant to the father of top recruit Chris Mills. The NCAA didn't need much more to launch a full investigation, and what they uncovered changed the program's trajectory. Mills was ruled ineligible, and Eric Manuel, another star player, got hit even harder. The NCAA found that Manuel's ACT score was suspiciously identical to another student's and labeled it academic fraud. He was banned from ever playing for any NCAA school again. Add in lies to investigators, and the picture only got worse. Assistant coach Dwayne Casey was accused of mailing the cash. The school was charged with multiple violations, and by March 1989, head coach Eddie Sutton and athletic director Cliff Hagan were both out. Kentucky's 13-19 season didn't help their case either. Then came the penalties. In May, the NCAA leveled 3 years of probation, a 2-year postseason ban, and banned live televised games for 1 season. Scholarships were slashed to 3 per year for 2 seasons, and wins from the 1988 tournament were vacated. The damage was deep. Kentucky had to rebuild its reputation from the ground up. Rick Pitino eventually took over, but the impact from this scandal lingered. From cash payments to academic fraud and institutional failure, this was a case that defined how far a program could fall and how long it took to climb back. The Wildcats dodged the so-called death penalty, but barely. What followed was years of recovery and compliance reform, just to steady the ship. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.